Wednesday over to showers before ending, clearing in the afternoon with a high near 43. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
He's got everything you need to know before you get home. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
I already know that a bunch of my fellow conservatives are going to say, what? What are you doing? You're advocating for a new tax? What in the hell is wrong with you? No. I'm advocating for a better tax, and I'm advocating for a system that is actually a fairer system. What I'm advocating for here is something now that is gaining steam in Hartford, but let me give you a caveat here. If you're going to tax people by the miles they drive, you have to severely reduce the state gasoline tax or get rid of it. Because now this is happening more and more and more. And I'm seeing articles here, all these blue states like Connecticut are suddenly realizing, hey, wait a minute, we're losing revenue on the state gasoline tax because we love our EV owners so much, we let them get off scot-free. So understand something. And I know this is going to rub some of my conservative friends the wrong way. You're going to have to tax some people somehow with driving. It just, you need transportation money. So my idea is this. Let me know what you think. We've got a couple of people hanging on here at 333-9422. Call or text. Are you okay with a per mile tax if don't jump down my throat or up my backside, neither one is pleasant, if you either get rid of or severely cut back the gasoline tax? Because you know what, I'm starting to get a little miffed here that I'm forking out for the state gasoline tax 25 cents a gallon, right? I bought 12. My car fill-up is about 12 gallons of gas. So 12 times 25, I spent $3 the other day, lawfully handing it over to the state, and every EV is zooming by me, and they're not paying anything. What the heck? Ron in Trumbull kicks us off today. Ron, how are you, sir?
Fine. Listen, if you're going to a mileage tax, who's going to monitor the mileage? Are you going to depend upon me to tell you how many miles a year I'm driving?
Well, Ron, I participated in a study about 2 years ago. They sent me a little device that plugged into my diagnostic port. So they knew, the state knew how many miles I drove. They didn't know where I was going. But this was taking the readings from my odometer and sending it to the state, and I got a printed PDF form in my email at the end of every month.
Yeah, well, that opens up another can of worms. But my thought here is this.
Yeah.
One thing that's common between EVs and gas-powered internal combustion is you have to register the vehicles. The registration fee for hybrids and for EVs should be higher.
Well, Ron, thank you. I appreciate the call. And that's what some states do. So you've got to do one or the other. And Ron hit on my next step there. Look, we're losing revenue from the state gasoline tax with a hybrid, which get, I don't know, the equivalent of 50, 55, 60 miles a gallon, or with EVs who pay no tax. So listen, you're going to have to pay the piper on this. One way or another. You have to. Because this is why we're getting these asinine tax ideas from the Democratic majority of, well, we're going to tax your deliveries at 28 cents a delivery. Stop it. That is so bogusly stupid. It still lets EV owners off the hook scot-free. And I don't dislike EVs. That's not my point here. The point is you got to even the playing field. You folks know I do a lot of hockey play-by-play during the season here, which just wrapped up. Another great season with Sacred Heart. But how many times a game do I say, hey, the ice is tilted one way or the other? So-and-so team came out first 10 minutes. They were bombing the other team in their zone, but then the ice tilted the other way. Right now, the ice, if this was a hockey game, the ice would be tilted in favor of EV owners all the way and hybrid owners partly. It's not their fault. It's not the car's fault. It's our legal system. Now, I did some math, how much it would cost me if they go to something that's being bandied about. Instead of paying a gasoline tax, you would pay a couple of cents or 1 penny or a penny and a half on your total miles driven. And again, I participated in a study here. And here's the bottom line. Before we go to Joe and Weston, Joe, hang on a second. At the end, I think I did it for 4 months. At the end of the 4 months, the state sent me a printout and said, well, here's what you paid in gasoline tax, according to the average gallon. But here's how much you drove. So if we went to a per mile tax, I would have paid about $5 a month more based on my driving. So there's an aspect of how much you pay versus making it fair. Joe has been hanging on in Weston. Joe, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm good, Joe. What's on your mind?
All right. So I don't think that is a fair, balanced way of going about taxing everybody. A lot of these commuters, if you go to New York, you buy gas in New York.
Sure.
You're kind of paying tax both ways. It's really not balanced to me that way. If you're buying an electric car or a hybrid, there should be. We were already paying car tax.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have, another tax on electric cars or a hybrid, that would be a better way of balancing that. But people commute. There are people that drive more for their work. There are people that drive less, and mileage could be done anywhere. And to get taxed, whether you're driving in the state or out of the state, isn't really a fair way of going about it.
Joe, thank you for calling you. And you bring up an aspect of this that I have to get to momentarily. You bring up an aspect of mileage and how it weaves into EVs. And part of the reason that people are saying, hey, we're going to have to tax EV drivers some way is EVs are much heavier. And it's been proven. I mean, those battery packs are heavy. In fact, the average sedan EV I read is close to 4,000 pounds, whereas the average internal combustion engine car is about 3,000 and change, 3,200, something like that. So EVs are also, the reason they say a per mile charge might actually be better is that would take into effect the wear and tear that an EV is putting on the road. But what do you think? If you knew, if a bill was passed and you knew that the state gasoline tax, the 25 cents a gallon that you're paying on gas for every gallon of gas here in Connecticut is gone, would you be okay with a per mile tax, say a penny a mile, penny and a half a mile? I'll give you an example, a detailed example about how it would affect me so you can sit back and go, he'd have to pay more. That's coming up right here.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Working on at least a wet track out there, so watch your speeds, please. Upper Merritt northbound construction reported between exit 44 and exit 46. And on 84 westbound, some residual delays in Southbury and Newtown because of earlier issues. Traffic report powered by Spectre Furniture. This Saturday, March 29th, Spectre Furniture is inviting you to be part of their 135th anniversary celebration. Enjoy exclusive deals, free giveaways, and a special in-store celebration. I'm Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
Any showers end this evening, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Tomorrow is sunny with a high near 50. On Wednesday, a mixture of rain and wet snow early over to showers in the afternoon. Partly sunny by late in the day with a high in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
Hello, Fairfield County. You're invited to come and enjoy the R.D. Cinto free Community Shakespeare event series at R.D. Cinto in Shelton. Nights with Shakespeare features a dramatic weekly play reading of Twelfth Night with actor Leo Schaff. Nights with Shakespeare is free and open to the public. It's every Tuesday at 6:30, now through April 29th, at the Cinto Auditorium at 3 Corporate Drive in Shelton. Learn more and attend. Go to nightswithshakespeare.com for more information.
Bring spring to your door with Target Circle 360. Get all you need for Easter hosting, spring get-togethers, and more with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. From Easter basket goodies to fresh florals, getting everything the same day is easy. Open the Target app and bring the magic of the season to your door with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. Visit target.com/circle or the Target app for more details. Subscription required. Same-day delivery is subject to terms. Applies to orders over $35.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with an SPF of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan. Last year, more consumers switched to Chevrolet than any other automotive brand. Why? With more standard passive and active safety features than any other brand, plus easy-to-use technology like wireless Apple CarPlay, Chevy simply builds in more value. And who doesn't love getting more for their money? With fresh inventory arriving daily, see for yourself at Carl Chevrolet, 261 Elm Street in New Canaan, or online at carlchevy.com.
When you've been in a car accident, call the Piquel Law Firm because results matter. When you've been injured, call the Piquel Law Firm because results matter. When you've suffered medical malpractice, call the Piquel Law Firm because results matter.
It's Alan Piquel here. At the Piquel Law Firm, we take pride in getting top monetary results and getting your case resolved quickly so you get the results that matter. Schedule a free consultation at PICKELlaw.com because results matter.
Thank you, first responders! Thank you, first responders! Love you! Mwah.
Be safe, look after yourself, and look after one another.
Text BRAVE to 24365 to find out how you can help today.
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News Brief. President Trump has announced steep new tariffs on imports from countries buying oil and gas from Venezuela. But Ed O'Keefe reports he may be considering scaling back tariffs elsewhere.
With the word that these tariffs may become a little more industry specific, and perhaps you're going to see some changes in exactly what gets slapped with a bit of a levy and what doesn't.
There's more court action today over a number of administration actions, including deportations. Reporter Jake Rosen.
Judge Boasberg just issued a ruling this morning saying that he's not going to rescind his temporary restraining order that currently blocks these migrants from being deported.
The UN says it will reduce its footprint in Gaza after a deadly Israeli strike on its compound and the cutoff of aid. Dozens of wildfires continue to burn across the windy, parched southeast.
So dry and the wind is so bad right now, it's not a good time to have any fire.
Some relief has arrived today with a weather system packing rain. CBS News Brief, I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
A Bridgeport teen is in the hospital after being shot in the East End. Police say the 14-year-old boy was shot in the leg Saturday evening along Union Avenue. The teen was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. It's unclear what led up to the shooting, but police say they have several strong leads in the case, and they are looking to interview more potential witnesses. Police are investigating after two middle school girls were approached by a man who tried to lure them into his van as they walked to school in Stamford. Officers say the girls were approached in two separate incidents this past Friday. The man did not grab the students or chase them, and officers say the girls attend different schools. Authorities are looking to track down the suspect and his vehicle. The mayor of Shelton is eyeing education as he looks to try and offer a balanced budget proposal. Mayor Mark Loretti's proposed budget for the coming fiscal year slashes $3 million from the local school board's funding request. Loretti believes the city has several $1 million in reserves that will help with education funding. The budget has to be approved by the end of May. Air conditioning is coming to all school classrooms in Stamford. District officials say there are over 3 dozen window air conditioner installations left to do, but all classrooms should have some form of air conditioning by the end of April. The project to get air conditioning to all classrooms began in 2022 when a district review found over 350 classrooms had no form of cool air relief. The woman accused of holding her stepson captive for decades at her Waterbury home is now being tied to a 1986 murder. Kimberly Sullivan is charged with kidnapping, cruelty to persons, and other crimes related to the torture of her 32-year-old stepson. Connecticut investigators say Sullivan was among the last people to see Laura Melio alive on July 16, 1986. Robert Burke was eventually arrested and pleaded guilty to the murder of Melio when her family says she was left alone by Sullivan the night before she was killed. Fairfield Community Trades and the Carpenters Union held a rally this past Saturday protesting the business practices of Pillar Property Management, LLC, as well as two subcontractors. Protesters have alleged payroll fraud against the contractors and accused those same companies of hiring cheaper labor from out of state instead of employing local Bridgeport workers. One of those attending the rally was former Bridgeport Mayor Bill Finch.
Bridgeport seems like it's had an epidemic of low-class developers coming in, being shut down for not paying their taxes, not paying their unemployment compensation, risking workers, paying cash under the table, being fined excessively. You know, in the past, we've had union work, we've had it done on time, on budget, and now we have all these lower quality developers coming in. They're not hiring local people.
State Senator Heron Gaston also was in attendance at the rally and said many local union members are afraid of being left out of future development projects.
I'm very much concerned about the folks who are from Bridgeport not having access and opportunity to be able to make, a livable wage for themselves and their families. And they believe that over time, they will be pushed out of their own city. And I want to make sure that does not happen.
Chain restaurants continue to close throughout Connecticut. Industry officials are sounding an alarm after eateries like TGI Fridays closed entirely, while restaurants like Ruby Tuesdays, On the Border, and Hooters have closed locations throughout Connecticut in recent months. Experts say a variety of reasons likely explain the closures, with some restaurants like Hooters simply running their course as a theme amongst eateries. Officials also point to the rise of food delivery services, which is keeping people at home more and not filling restaurants. Lawmakers in Hartford are preparing for the worst-case scenario after President Donald Trump's executive order last week to dismantle the U.S. Department of Education. Democrats say that the order would lead to losses of close to $500 million. WTNH-TV News 8 spoke with State Senator Bob Duff.
If that money goes away, we're going to eliminate school meals for children all across the state. We're going to eliminate special education funding. These are dire circumstances.
Some state Republicans, such as State Representative Joe Paletta, told News 8 they were in favor of the controversial move by the president.
Any effort to dismantle bureaucracy in D.C. in favor of local control for our education is a plus, in my opinion.
It will not be a three-peat for the UConn men Huskies. UConn and Florida were tied at the half, and the Huskies led for much of the second half. In the end, UConn lost to number 1 seed Gators 77-75 in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The Huskies finished their season 24-11. And the University of Connecticut women's basketball team faces South Dakota State tonight in the second round of the NCAA tournament. It's the first time the second seed Huskies and 10th seed Jackrabbits have ever met. Game time is at 8 p.m. at Gamble Pavilion in Stores. The game will be televised by ESPN. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Working on at least a wet track out there, so watch your speeds, please. Upper Merritt northbound construction reported between exit 44 and exit 46. And on 84 westbound, some residual delays in South Barry and Newtown because of earlier issues. Traffic report powered by Spectre Furniture. This Saturday, March 29th, Spectre Furniture is inviting you to be part of their 135th anniversary celebration. Enjoy exclusive deals, free giveaways, and a special in-store celebration. I'm Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, any showers end early, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Sunny tomorrow with a high near 50. Rain and wet snow early Wednesday over to showers before ending, clearing in the afternoon with a high near 43. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
Just a man who has a lot of thoughts. Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli is back on WICC 600 and 95.9. the voice of Connecticut.
Big wave and a hello to folks watching our video feed, which you can see me in my brown Spacely Sprocket t-shirt. Yes, those of us of a certain age know Spacely Sprockets. We know Cogswell Cogs. And you know what we know? Eventually, the tax structure as far as generating revenue for the State Transportation Fund, it's going to have to get fixed. And I know there's a lot of my fellow conservatives who, posted in a news release the other day, hey, no more taxes on the state. I understand that. But what if we concentrate on doing a better, more fair, more equitable tax? What am I talking about? Well, I'm seeing these stories over the weekend, especially out in California. Suddenly, the Einsteins in California are going, hey, wait a minute. All these EVs and hybrids means we're getting less tax revenue from our gasoline tax. Well, that's happening here in the state as well. So how do you account for that? Because, look, I know a lot of conservatives can say, well, we don't like taxes, this and the other. I understand that, but until you control the state Senate or until you control the state House, that tactic is a non-starter. What I think the Connecticut Republican Party and folks who are just inclined to think this, what I think a better idea would be is say, hey, we need to have a more equitable and fair system. And right now, the system is not fair. So why not, hear me out on this, if the state severely cut back or got rid of the 25 cents a gallon gasoline tax that you and I pay I don't know whether you knew this or not, but 25 cents of every gallon of gas you buy goes to the state. Now, do the math, figure it out. More people in EVs, more people in hybrids. That's good. That's less money in state coffers for road repairs. So there are some states now saying, hey, instead of taxing people, and I know people hate the word tax, I understand that, but facts are facts. And for as long as Democrats control things in Hartford, trust me, there will be a steady stream of revenue directed toward the State Transportation Fund. So what is the more equitable way to do this? What's the more equitable way here that we do this? Do we charge the old lady on Social Security as her own income the same as we charge the guy, making 6 or 7 figures or whatever? I don't care. But you know what I'm saying here. Get rid of the gasoline tax and charge a per-mile fee. Most states doing this, or states experimenting, or saying a penny a mile, penny and a half a mile, 2 cents a mile, and any changes to this have to be voted on with a lawmaker's record on this. That's another thing that I would require this. But what do you think? Look, I'm for this. Get rid of the state gasoline tax and go ahead and tax me on the mileage I drive. Even if I pay a little bit more. Let me give you, before we go to the break, and John and Bob, hang on, let me give you a little example here. I drive about 18,000 miles a year. So I round about, every time I measure it, every week with a full tank of gas, I get 30 miles a gallon on average. What my onboard trip computer says. A little more on the highway, a little less in the city. So I'm buying about 600 gallons of gas a year. So times 25 cents, I'm handing the state of Connecticut in an average year for me $150 of the state gasoline tax. Now, I also drive a lot. I have a car that gets good mileage. So if they charged me a penny, I'd go from $150 to $180. About $30 more a year. If they charge me a penny and a half on that instead of a penny, I'd go from $150, let's say, I go to $180, about $270 a year. A little pricey, but again, it is what it is. See, something's going to happen. And you know why this is coming? I'll tell you why this is coming in a minute. First, though, we'll do this. Coming up right here on WICC.
Coming up tomorrow on Melissa in the Morning on the Voice of Connecticut, WICC 695.9.
A Connecticut man allegedly held captive for more than 20 years, and officials say the stepmother in this case is to blame. We'll hear from the attorney representing that stepmother tomorrow morning at 6:35.
Melissa in the Morning, weekdays starting at 5 a.m. on WICC 695.9, the Voice of Connecticut.
How low can you go? No, it's not a limbo contest. We're asking about how low can the radon level in your home go? With Apex Radon Solutions as your trusted local radon mitigation expert, the answer is lower than you ever thought possible. Radon is an invisible, odorless gas that could be lurking in your home and cause serious risk to your family's health. The higher the number, the higher the risk. Protect your family with a free on-site radon test from Apex Radon Solutions. Go to apexradonsolutions.com today to schedule a free radon test.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting and rules for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text SKINNY to 323232 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text SKINNY to 323232 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SKINNY to 323232. That's SKINNY to 323232. SKINNY to 323232.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Working on at least a wet track out there, so watch your speeds. Please, Upper Merritt northbound construction reported between exit 44 and exit 46. And on 84 westbound, some residual delays in Southbury and Newtown because of earlier issues. And that's Kraus with WICC traffic.
Any showers end this evening, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Tomorrow is sunny with a high near 50. On Wednesday, a mixture of rain and wet snow early over to showers in the afternoon. Partly sunny by late in the day with a high in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fioric on WICC.
Phone lines are always open to say what you want and need to say. 203-333-9422. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli. WICC 695.9, the Voice of Connecticut.
And sometimes out of controversy, there are good things. And, we've said this on the show, for as awkward as it was a couple of months ago, month and a half ago, when Donald Trump and J.D. Vance got into it with Volodymyr Zelensky from Ukraine, all of a sudden, people are starting to pay attention to Ukraine, right? It was kind of fading away in the background. Well, this is happening now with EVs and the whole Tesla thing and Elon Musk. And we had a nice, orderly, peaceful demonstration in Milford. You're hearing that in the news. I'll get to sound bites of that coming up. But my point here is this. There's a lot of EVs out there, and that's okay. That's fine. But there are now rumblings all across the country, and you're seeing news releases out of Hartford. The EV owners, God bless them, I know several of them, and hybrid owners too. You're going to get taxed either way, and it's time that we make the system more equitable. So, for example, on my driving, if I didn't pay a state gasoline tax, which, according to that survey I did for the state, it would have cost me about $5 a month more if I simply paid on my mileage. Another $60 a year, yeah, whatever. But I drive a lot. I drive like 17,000, 18,000 miles a year. Sometimes more, fewer times less. But would you be okay with a per mile tax if, and this is a big if the state gasoline tax went away? Because now all these blue states who are giving a big wet kiss to EVs, they're all realizing now, hey, we're losing revenue to fix the roads. And again, we had an earlier caller say, how would they collect that? They sent me a little device that I plugged into my onboard, the OBD, the diagnostic port there. And every month I got an an analysis of my driving. I was like, okay, that's good. I didn't tell the state where I was going, but it just knew how many miles I drove. Who cares? I know people don't like that. Whatever. You don't want to. I wouldn't be for the GPS thing, because a lot of people don't want to know if you're going to see Agumad, if you know what I mean. My people get that. My tribe understands that. Who's she? Oh, she's Agumad. Oh, okay. Oofa. Him too. John in Stratford's here. John, how are you, sir?
Very good. So I'm a taxpayer on a few vehicles.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I travel here and there, and I don't know about the mileage thing. I kind of just tuned in.
Yeah.
I'd like to know how much of my tax money is going toward transit buses, inner city buses.
That's probably I believe that is covered by either the DOT spending, John, or the state transportation fund. I don't know.
My money, correct?
Huh?
My money, correct?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't get in the bus. I don't use a bus. Why don't we have them pay a few more quarters or something instead of getting such? They don't pay taxes on vehicles. Why don't they have to put their percentage in?
No, listen, John, and thank you for the call. This is my point here. Now, what John just said, some people are saying, hey, wait a minute, don't tax me by the mile because I'm already subsidizing people. Okay. I get his concern there. All I'm saying is this, it's going to change. It's going to change really soon because it has to. Because the funding formula is it's not working. It's not working. Evan in Shelton's here. Evan, how are you, sir?
Hey, how are you doing? Quick couple questions.
Yeah.
Ron that called in before.
Yeah.
He had a point about, let's say we don't drive on the highways.
Yeah.
Okay. Most of our driving is done in the cities, and we hardly ever go on a highway.
Yeah.
And the state tax money that goes for highways, right?
Yes,
right?
the transportation fund is basically to maintain the major roads. Yeah.
Right. So if I don't go on the highways or use, and you're going to use all my mileage. If
Hey,
I go
Evan,
500 miles,
Evan, you want to take that call? I'll wait for you if you want me to.
I'll call you back. Wait. No, we're good.
We're good. Okay.
Hang up.
I don't want you. I don't want you to miss a call. No, go ahead with your question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, well, where's the fairness of that? If I drive 1,000 miles,
yeah,
a year, and 50 of those miles are on highways,
okay.
How are you going to justify taxing me? By the mile?
Yeah.
If I don't use the highways that often.
Well, and Evan, I understand that, and thank you for the call. And maybe to your point, Evan, if a legislator gets up there and says, hey, my constituent Evan in Shelton is asking me this question, maybe then does a percentage of that state transportation money go back to local cities and towns? Again, Evan, thank you. I don't have the answers to all this. But trust me, this debate is coming, and it has to come. Here's the bottom line. Right now, and I know my friends and relatives and employees who drive EVs are probably screaming at me, but right now, EV owners are getting a free ride. They are. And my thought is that because of how progressive Connecticut is, the majority Democrats in Hartford will never okay a yearly fee. In other words, hey, you drive an EV, so every year you have to pay an extra $100 or $150 or $200 for your contribution to fix the roads. That's never going to happen because nothing will happen in this state that will ever quash the sales of EVs. It's just not going to happen. Bob and Trumbull's here. Bob, what's up with you?
Reverend,
Yeah.
You're talking tax.
Well, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I got a couple ideas. The people with EVs, they're already paying the pubic benefit tax.
Yeah, okay.
That's
please, enough. Please stop with the lounge act. Should I do law school or not? You tell me. Mike in Westport. Mike, what's up with you?
Well, I just want to, I've listened to your partiality to the mileage tax, and I get the concept.
Yeah.
But I just want to warn you about the sucker punch.
Yeah.
Which is that our money-hungry legislators will reduce the gas tax, add on the mileage tax, and then in a few years, the combined between both will be far greater than we're paying now.
Maybe. It might be.
It's an absolute certainty. Every time you open the door to a new tax, the only one that benefits is the state coffers.
And Mike, thank you. Appreciate the call. That's why I'm saying I don't doubt that you are leery of this, as I am, but I'm starting to read more and more. And now, by the way, I should tell you, there has been a bill introduced in Hartford. It was Senate Bill 1447 that at least Republicans are saying it would open the door for a future Connecticut mileage tax. Now, years ago, the General Assembly voted against that, which to me, I looked at that and I said, what are you doing this for? You know we're going to come to this. You know, it just... It is what it is, and the legislature in this state, it gives EV owners a nice big wet smooch to buy those EVs, and they will. I shouldn't say never, but the notion of them possibly throwing any at doing what other states do, like putting a yearly fee on EV owners saying, hey, we love you, you're nice and green, with all due respect, but, we got to get some revenue from you. It is never going to happen here in the state. If they did that in the state, if the Democratic majority did that in Hartford or tried, they would have the environmental left screaming at them on the Capitol lawn. Trust me. Let's do this break a little early. We'll come back with Tim. Traffic and weather together right here. WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Working on at least a wet track out there, so watch your speeds. Please, Upper Merritt northbound construction reported between exit 44 and exit 46. And on 84 westbound, some residual delays in Southbury and Newtown because of earlier issues. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, any showers end early, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Sunny tomorrow with a high near 50. Rain and wet snow early Wednesday over to showers before ending, clearing in the afternoon with a high near 43. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
Dine out for half price. It's a sweet deal week at voiceofct.com. Great local restaurants are offering $50 gift cards for only $25. Go to voiceofct.com, click on the sweet deal banner. Restaurants include Pepe's Pizza, Vazzi's, Saloon, Jacob's Pickles, Zuka, Mill Pond Gathering, Pier 131, Dino's Seafood, Vinny's Deli, Amici's, and more. Buy $50 gift cards for only $25. Go to voiceofct.com, click the sweet deals banner. Sweet.
Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA guide at BetterNestEgg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Go to BetterNestEgg.com.
Back to the news and talk. Thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC 695.9. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli.
Folks, I'm telling you, this one is coming down the pike, so you better make your mind up on it now. There are rumblings at the state capitol that there are aspects of that bill that we talked about last week that would attach a 28 cents per delivery fee on retail deliveries. There are aspects of that bill, people say, that if you interpret them a certain way, could allow a mileage tax here in the state. You know what? I'm okay with that if they get rid of the gasoline tax. That's a big if. So just remember, you're paying 25 cents per gallon to the state every time you gas up. So what if the state said, listen, we're going to take that down to zero, zilch, nada, nil, but you'll put a device on your car that'll tell us how many miles you're driving in a year, not where. So if you're going to visit Agumad and your wife thinks you're at a church meeting, she can't use that in the divorce, although there would be subpoenas for that. Your Honor, he told me he was at a church meeting. Well, he was worshiping, But let me know what you think of that. 203-333-9422, 333-WICC, voice or text. If you want to text me and tell me I'm an idiot, but you don't want to say that in the air, you can. Tim, hang on. We'll take you top of the next hour with news and traffic and weather together behind us. So, for example, I drive 18,000 miles a year. I get 30 miles a gallon, so I use 600 gallons of gas a year. At 25 cents a gallon, me, just your, little talk show host here, I'm handing over $150 a year to the state. If the state went to a penny per mile, which is low, I think some states have that. So if they went for a penny per mile, I'd pay $30 more a year. If they went to 2 cents a mile, I'd be paying $360 a year. Now, there would people who would say that, who would say, well, you're driving more. Okay. And again, we always talk about equity with taxes and, should I pay more than the little old lady who's retired? I don't know. And again, I participated in a study. In fact, I have the PDFs on the computer here somewhere. And at the end of a month, I did this for 4 months, and I got a $100 gift card from the state. It's the only reason I did it. You think I care about the environment? I'm kidding. It's a joke. Don't send me the angry emails. But I got a breakdown from the state every month at the end of the month on the cost of my driving.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump just announced another big investment in the U.S.
Hyundai is announcing a major $5.8 billion investment in American manufacturing. In particular, Hyundai will be building a brand new steel plant in Louisiana, which will produce more than 2.7 million metric tons of steel a year, creating more than 1,400 jobs.
The president may be planning to scale back some upcoming tariffs and increase others, as Stacey Lynn reports.
There's a new tariff concept that President Trump floated today on Truth Social. He said countries that buy oil and gas from Venezuela will face a 25% tariff on any goods sent to the U.S. As a payback for the alleged gangs Trump says Venezuela sends here.
The Trump administration has asked the Supreme Court to halt a ruling that ordered the rehiring of thousands of federal workers. There was a hearing today on a judge's order blocking deportations under the Alien Enemies Act. Camilo Montoya Galvez on the Justice Department's argument.
He is essentially arguing to these federal judges that the lower court judge who blocked the president's proclamation is essentially second-guessing the president's authority over national security and immigration policy. He called the order by the lower court judge utterly unprecedented.
A storm system over the weekend sparked wildfires across the southeast. Jim Crisula reports.
Dozens of wildfires burned across the windy, parched southeast. A large fire is burning near popular hiking spots, including the Appalachian Trail in Pickens County, South Carolina.
I go camping a lot, and it kind of makes me think of like my worst nightmares, so many camps.
Dozens have been evacuated from their homes as several large wildfires burn in Polk County, North Carolina, south of Asheville. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
A genetics testing company, 23andMe, has filed for bankruptcy protection. The Attorney General for California is recommending people delete their information. CBS's Nancy Chen.
Log into your account, go to settings, scroll to 23andMe data, click view, scroll to delete data, and click permanently delete data.
The second lady, Usha Vance, will visit Greenland, and so will President Trump's energy secretary and national security advisor. Greenland's prime minister warned warned Sunday of American aggression and what he called a mess caused by the upcoming visits. President Trump said today this is not provocation, but friendliness. Correspondent Ed O'Keefe.
Given these visits and given the reaction of Greenlanders, it may be that the relationship is becoming more adversarial simply by showing up.
On Wall Street, the Dow currently up 540 points. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
A Bridgeport teen is in the hospital after being shot in the East End. Police say the 14-year-old boy was shot in the leg Saturday evening along Union Avenue. The teen was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. It is unclear what led up to the shooting, but police say they have several strong leads in the case and are looking to interview more potential witnesses. 4 juveniles were arrested Saturday night as the result of multiple fights at Urban Air Trampoline and Adventure Park in Orange. WTNH-TV News 8 reported police responded for fights both inside and outside the building involving a large number of people. Mutual aid was provided by West Haven Police. The 4 juveniles were eventually turned over to the custody of their parents. Residents of Fairfield County have power back after sweeping outages over the weekend. Severe weather, including strong winds, took out thousands of customers Friday into Saturday. Wind gusts were reported as high as 50 miles per hour. Eversource crews were working well into yesterday afternoon to restore the few that remained in the dark. Fairfield Community Trades and the Carpenters Union held a rally this past Saturday protesting the business practices of Pillar Property Management, LLC, as well as 2 subcontractors. Protesters have alleged payroll fraud against contractors and accused those same companies of hiring cheaper labor from out of state instead of employing local Bridgeport workers. One of those attending the rally was former Bridgeport Mayor Bill Finch.
Bridgeport seems like it's had an epidemic of low-class developers coming in, being shut down for not paying their taxes, not paying their unemployment compensation, risking workers paying cash under the table, being fined excessively. You know, in the past, we've had union work, we've had it done on time, on budget, and now we have all these lower quality developers coming in. They're not hiring local people.
State Senator Heron Gaston also was in attendance at the rally and said many local union members are afraid of being left out of future development projects.
I'm very much concerned about the folks who are from Bridgeport not having access and opportunity to be able to make, a livable wage for themselves and their families. And they believe that over time, they will be pushed out of their own city. And I want to make sure that does not happen.
And the University of Connecticut women's basketball team faces South Dakota State tonight in the second round of the NCAA tournament. It's the first time the second seed Huskies and 10th seed Jackrabbits have ever met. Game time is at 8 p.m. at Gamble Pavilion in Stores. The game will be televised by ESPN. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Parkway northbound in Greenwich, accident reported at King Street. 95 on the northbound side, plan on up to an hour from Greenwich through Fairfield. Few breaks along the way through. 95 out of New Haven, busy but moving through Long Wharf into West Haven. And on 84, westbound accident remains near exit 9, has things backed up over the bridge. Traffic report powered by Spectre Furniture. This Saturday, March 29th, Spectre Furniture is inviting you to be part of their 135th anniversary celebration. Enjoy exclusive deals, free giveaways, and a special in-store celebration. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Any showers end this evening, clearing after midnight, below in the mid-30s. Tomorrow is sunny with a high near 50. On Wednesday, a mixture of rain and wet snow early over to showers in the afternoon. Partly sunny by late in the day with a high in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, so right now, as we speak, according to these figures I just pulled up, there are a bit over 33,000 battery-powered total EVs in the state. 33,000, about 400 as of last July, according to DOT numbers. Hybrid vehicles, again, which have, a small internal combustion engine, which hands off to an electric motor back and forth. The motor is then used to, the engine charges the motor. It's good technology. About 19,000 of those in the state. There are 91 electric motorcycles registered in the state, and there are even 3 fuel cell cars, hydrogen fuel cells. So roughly, as of last summer, and I suspect it's a little more, roughly there are about 53,000 EVs in the state, either complete hybrids or complete EVs. Out of that total, over 33,000, almost 34,000 EVs are paying no gas tax. Okay, they're taking advantage of the law as it is. Hybrids are paying less gas tax. How do we fix this? Some states, as I participated in a study once here in the state, they track your mileage and then they bill you a penny a mile, penny and a half mile. Here's the bottom line. I don't like taxes any more than the next person, honestly. But how do you fix this? Because right now the people driving straight EVs are, God bless them, they're taking advantage of something they can afford and they like the technology. But the tax man or tax woman or tax individual, don't want to upset anybody with the gender thing, they're coming. How do we fix it? 333-9422 got an interesting text from a individual about this and her college-age kids. Coming up first, Tim in Hamden. Tim, how are you?
I'm not too bad. By the way, I watched the UConn game, and if we need more road construction, and it could go and that first half, there was an awful lot of bricks.
Oh, very nice. A lot of it, right. As I like to say for my basketball play-by-play days, clang.
Clang. Oh, my God.
Yeah, well.
It's like everything's a three. Not even 3-pointers, like 12-pointers.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Tim, the game has changed a lot from when you and I were kids. Yeah.
Well, need a school, the guy who's there this year might be going in a portal next year.
Yeah.
Anyway, couple of things. Art, someone said, well, what if you don't drive on the highways? Well, there's a lot of state roads, like Route 10.
Route 1, Route 10, yep.
That, it goes a straight line and everything. I believe that's mostly state funds for stuff like that. It's not just 91, 84, all that sort of stuff. So that's stuff. Someone mentioned buses. Yeah. The buses for a while were packed when they were free.
It was free,
now
yeah.
Now they've gone back to to that system. Then I just off the top of my head, I'm wondering about the lower amount of people actually driving if the tax risk is. People We used to drive everywhere to go get stuff. Now we have stuff delivered.
That's
we
right.
Take Ubers. We take
Yeah.
we get free deliveries.
That's another reason. Yep.
All across the board. But you even on your news had something to the fact they're going to spend $5 billion for steel in Louisiana for Hyundai's, 2 plants.
Yeah.
2 plants building electric cars. So all of this is coming along. And, and I always say there's some great, Chevy electric cars, $30,000 and everything like that. You don't have to go out and buy some space alien looking thing that you're going to,
Well, you know what I did read, Tim? You know what the hottest segment of the car market is now? You ready for this? Because of the pressure now and because they've been out so long, it's not a novelty anymore. Used Teslas are apparently selling like crazy, from what I read.
Well, that's true, but I am seeing an awful lot of single seat and other things, in cities like New Haven, Hartford, and other places, especially, electric things that are, less like $2,000 or $3,000.
Yeah.
It's a little, all you're doing is zipping around, just here and there and everything. And then you can borrow ride share, borrow, cars for long distances. And didn't you drive an awful lot for all your play-by-play and stuff?
And Tim, I do have to run. Thank you. The TV play-by-play I have been doing has all been at the beautiful Martyri Arena at Sacred Heart, so it's not too bad. When I was doing Quinnipiac on radio, on and off for 10 years, it was business, so I was provided a rental car. So there was a policy that if the game was X amount of miles from the school, you had to get a rental because it would have cost too much to do the per mile thing. But yeah, I got to drive a lot of neat cars. All right. Jose and Daniel. Daniel, you're up next when we do this on WICC.
There's so many in our community who make a positive impact, from innovators and leaders to local businesses and nonprofits. They do so much for Connecticut. We will recognize them with the WICC Impact Awards, and we need your help. Submit your nominations now across 6 categories at voiceofct.com. Then join us on May 14th at Fasano's Four Seasons in Stratford as we recognize your nominees. Honor those who've helped to make Connecticut better with the WICC Impact Awards.
AB's Falafel announces the $16 weekday lunch special. Come for lunch and enjoy the most flavorful falafel sandwich, chicken shawarma sandwich, or beef shawarma sandwich, all served on a fresh pita with fries and a soda for only $16. AB's Falafel is consistently voted best Middle Eastern food in Connecticut. Now offering a complete weekday lunch special for only $16. Come have lunch at AB's Falafel, 10 Broadway Road, Trumbull, and absfalafel.com.
Dude, I just got this car.
Yeah, sorry, man. Take it to my friend. He can do it for cheap.
Hi, this is Chris from Sono Collision. Don't just go to anybody for your repairs. Choose the best. Remember, you're the one that has to live with the repairs. It's your choice, so pick quality at Sono Collision. Go to sonocollision.com or call 203-939-9955. Your car will thank you.
You're listening to WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut, broadcasting from Cadillac of Greenwich Studios, CadillacofGreenwich.com.
Selling your home is a numbers game. The more potential buyers who see it, the greater the opportunity to sell. And when your home is listed on Smart MLS, more than 21,000 realtors see it, and so do all their buyers. Suddenly, the number of people looking at your home starts to grow by a lot. More realtors sharing your listing, more people seeing your home, more offers coming in, and maybe even more cash in your pocket. Smart move, right? Ask your realtor. Is my house on Smart MLS? Smart MLS, the smart way to sell your home.
If your credit card bills have gotten out of hand, call Consolidated Credit now. If the interest rates on your credit cards are so high, it'll take years to get out of debt. Call Consolidated Credit now. They've helped over 10 million people without destroying your credit. They can reduce your interest rates, lower your total payments up to 50% to get you out of debt fast. For a free consultation. Call Consolidated Credit now. The program works.
Call 800-210-4298. 800-210-4298. 800-210-4298.
Consolidated Credit Solutions Incorporated, 5701 West Sunrise Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida 33313. Licensed by the New York Department of Financial Services and by the Vermont Department of Financial Regulation. Kansas CSO 0019051. Maryland DM 1492. Oregon DM 892. Licensed by the Virginia State Corporation Commission License Number DC83. Service may adversely affect the individual's credit. Non-payment of debt may lead to additional finance charges or collections activity, including legal action. Actual interest rates, length of program, and monthly payment reductions will vary by consumer and creditor. Yours could be higher or lower. Not a loan company. We do not lend money.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Parkway northbound in Greenwich, accident reported at King Street. 95 on the northbound side, plan on up to an hour from Greenwich through Fairfield. A few breaks along the way through. 95 out of New Haven, busy but moving through Long Wharf into West Haven. And on 84, westbound accident remains near exit 9, has things backed up over the bridge. Traffic report powered by Spectre Furniture. This Saturday, March 29th, Spectre Furniture is inviting you to be part of their 135th anniversary celebration. Enjoy exclusive deals, free giveaways, and a special in-store celebration. I'm Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, any showers end early, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Sunny tomorrow with a high near 50. Rain and wet snow early Wednesday over to showers before ending, clearing in the afternoon with a high near 43. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
Listen on Alexa.
And you'll never miss a moment.
Back to Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Owners of electric vehicles in this state are abiding by the law. They're not doing anything wrong, but they're not paying any gasoline tax because they don't use any gas. If you have a hybrid EV, which, switches off automatically between the electric motor and the internal combustion engine or ICE, no, not that ICE motor, you're paying much less in gasoline tax. Well, now states, including Connecticut, are starting to say, hey, this is going one way and it's not going to change. What do we do about this? To which I say, if you can get rid of the gasoline tax, I'm not in favor of doing this with the gasoline tax. But eventually, for not just Connecticut, for all other states, revenue from gasoline taxes, it's going to be gone. How do you fix the roads? The roads need to get fixed. This is not a Democrat or Republican thing or a left or right thing or a D versus R. How do you fix the roads and the bridges? I know there's federal funding, but hey, sometimes people who actually use the roads and bridges should pay. That's not a partisan issue. That's a fairness issue. How do we pay for that when more and more and more people are driving EVs? Now, ideally, I would like to see a yearly fee charge to EV owners. That's never going to happen. Not in this state, it won't. A lot of red states, by the way, conservative-leaning states, they have yearly fees that EV owners have to pay because they don't use gas, or a large fee up front that they pay every 4 or 5 years. Connecticut does nothing. Because here in Connecticut, the idea of Hartford with EVs is mwah! Love you. Daniel in Reading is here. Hi, Daniel. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon. I'm doing all right.
What's going on?
So I wanted to remind you, the tax that you're talking about on gasoline is only half of it. So there's the excise tax, the fuel tax, which actually has gone up. Now, I'm sitting in a diesel truck, which pay idling, which I waiting 15 minutes to get on the radio. I've been idling the whole time.
Oh my God! Oh, here come the green police, Daniel. They're tracking.
It's okay. It's diesel. It's okay. It's diesel. Much better for the environment. Anyway, we don't have to go down that road. But that's only half of it. Also, any goods you buy, doesn't matter if it's groceries, things at the store, remember, those are delivered by larger trucks.
Yep.
So anything over 26,000 pounds pay a substantial higher tax on fuels, which, to back up, there's the excise tax, and then there's also gross receipts tax.
Yep.
So even for gasoline vehicles, those together are 60 to 70 cents per gallon. I don't know what it is right now, but it's between that. Because diesel, roughly 75 cents a gallon goes to the state.
Yeah.
But that doesn't include the federal tax.
And Daniel, and Daniel, I do have to run. Thank you for the call, and thank you for hanging out to call. I really appreciate that. all those taxes that Daniel mentioned are all going to be pressured now to go up the more EVs that are sold out there. Before we go to Steve on the phone here, I did get a text here. Hi, Paul. I have 2 daughters from this gentleman here. I have 2 daughters who live out of state going to college. They both have vehicles in South Carolina. I'm paying registration and taxes on those vehicles, and they do not leave South Carolina. Now, I would have to pay a mileage tax on 2 vehicles that are not even in the state of Connecticut. Plus, my wife and I would need to pay taxes every time we drive back and forth, the 800 miles when we visit every other month. Thank you for that text in Cheshire there. Follow-up text, they must be able to charge the charging stations. Question, I don't know. But again, this gentleman points out on the text something that would have to be worked out. And I know there are other states looking at this. How do you handle a situation that was just floated here? Which, again, would be the technology of being able to know where the car is. Now, remember, all these new cars, for about the past 4, 5, 6 years, especially if there's onboard navigation, they know where you are. So as this gentleman, Kevin, texted us here, so they know where you are. So there would have to be some sort of cooperation, say, here between Connecticut and South Carolina. Hey, Connecticut, this car did not drive in your state, it drove in our state. Now, the question is, would these agreements be reciprocal? Think about that, Maud. And by the way, I'm looking at South Carolina. South Carolina's gasoline tax, state gasoline tax, went up to 28 cents a gallon back on July 1 of 2022, almost 3 years ago. So, again, Connecticut does absolutely nothing on the tax situation with EVs. And by the way, as this person just asked, what about the charging station? Do you know, and now I don't know if it's this way in all states, but I did read something where I get, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, folks, did I read or hear correctly or incorrectly that if you put in a home charging station, you got to put in one of those high-capacity chargers, you get a credit from the power company and or a tax credit? Really? Be nice. Where's my tax credit? Right? Not that I'm trying to be snide here, but where is moi's tax credit? Because I'm looking out for me. Steve in Guilford. Steve, what's up?
Hi, Paul.
Yeah.
Just how about that on the electric bill? We got that added tax.
The public benefits charge. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So these electric vehicles your electric bill got to be up. Could they tap into that?
They and Steve, you're breaking up a little bit. Thanks. I can hardly hear you. Yeah, maybe you don't do a mileage tax, but in some way, shape, or form, you admit that anybody who's driving an EV that's not buying gas is at a monetary advantage, even though they're using more electricity. I understand that. But that's kind of an apples to oranges comparison, don't you think? You could say, well, they're paying more for electricity, but all sides also in this debate, kind of realize that EVs are a lot heavier, too, than average cars, per size. What about, as some people point out, the wear and tear here? A lot coming up. I'm telling you, folks, this issue. It's why I wanted to open with it today. I'm reading all these stories about this issue, and trust me, it is not going away anytime soon. And we continue right here on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Parkway, northbound in Greenwich, accident reported at King Street. 95 on the northbound side, plan on up to an hour from Greenwich through Fairfield. A few breaks along the way through. 95 out of New Haven, busy but moving through Long Wharf into West Haven. And on 84, westbound accident remains near exit 9, has things backed up over the bridge. Traffic report powered by Spectre Furniture. This Saturday, March 29th, Spectre Furniture is inviting you to be part of their 135th anniversary celebration. Enjoy exclusive deals, free giveaways, and a special in-store celebration. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Any showers end this evening, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Tomorrow is sunny with a high near 50. On Wednesday, a mixture of rain and wet snow early over to showers in the afternoon. Partly sunny by late in the day with a high in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
The Connecticut Lottery reminds you that gambling can be a fun form of entertainment, but it's not risk-free, so it's important to play responsibly. Make sure you understand how the games work. Know the odds, set time limits, and take breaks. To find out more, visit ctlottery.org or responsibleplayct.org. Must be 18 or older to purchase lottery and 21 or older to place sports wagers. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org.
Support the Bridgeport Rescue Mission through Jersey Mike's Round Up program and Day of Giving. All month long, round up your purchase or donate directly at participating Stamford and Greenwich locations. On March 26th, the Day of Giving, 100% of sales go to the Bridgeport Rescue Mission. Your contribution provides hot meals, housing, clothing, addiction support, and life skill classes to those in need. Together, we provide hope and make a difference. Visit brm.gives for more information.
They're changing the tax rules again. What does that mean for you?
So to be tax-free, you have to pay the tax on the money today and find the right places to store it and accumulate it tax-free forever. And then you don't care where tax rates go up in the future because you have a plan that will protect you.
To find out, join David Gagnon of First Financial Planners for Mastering Your Wealth. Saturday mornings at 8, right here on WICC 600.
Hey, coming up right after we do news and traffic and weather together. Going to give you a little weekend summary here. Two very visible Fairfield County folks, one on one side of the other, one on the other side of opposite sides of the other, we should say, were prominent in the weekend talk shows on the big networks, talking about education and national security. So stay close for that.
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News Brief. President Trump announced steep tariffs on imports from countries buying oil and gas from Venezuela, but there are reports he's scaling back other tariffs. Kelly O'Grady of Money Watch.
The fact that we are hearing that there's going to be a much more targeted narrowing in terms of countries and industries, I think is giving the market a little bit of hope today.
The Dow is up 400 points. The Trump administration wants the Supreme Court to decide whether it should have to rehire some federal workers. Legal analyst Laurie Levinson.
They are challenging the order by the lower court to rehire 16,000 federal employees that were let go.
Chris Livesay has the latest on the Pope, sent home from the hospital over the weekend.
He's supposed to sit at home and rest, and that is a tall order for a man known as the People's Pope, who loves traveling, who loves mingling with regular people.
The Pope was suffering from double pneumonia. CBS News Brief. I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Police are investigating after two middle school girls were approached by a man who tried to lure them into his van as they walked to school in Stamford. Officers say the girls were approached in two separate incidents this past Friday. The man did not grab the students or chase them, and officers say the girls attend different schools. Authorities are looking to track down the suspect and the vehicle. The woman accused of holding her stepson captive for decades at her Waterbury home is now being tied to a 1986 murder. Kimberly Sullivan is charged with kidnapping, cruelty to persons, and other crimes related to the torture of her 32-year-old stepson. Connecticut investigators say Sullivan was among the last people to see Laura Melio alive on July 16, 1986. Robert Burke was eventually arrested and pleaded guilty to the murder of Melio when her family says she was left alone by Sullivan the night before she was killed. Chain restaurants are continuing to close throughout Connecticut. Industry officials are sounding an alarm after eateries like TGI Fridays closed entirely, while restaurants like Ruby Tuesdays, On the Border, and Hooters have closed locations throughout Connecticut in recent months. Experts say a variety of reasons likely explain the closures, with some restaurants like Hooters simply running their course as a theme amongst eateries. Officials also point to the rise of food delivery services, which is keeping people at home more and not filling restaurants. Air conditioning is coming to all school classrooms in Stamford. District officials say there are over 36 window air conditioners installations left to do, but all classrooms should have some form of air conditioning by the end of April. The project to get air conditioning to all classrooms began in 2022 when a district review found over 350 classrooms had no form of cool air relief.
This is our demonstration to stand up for democracy and bring it to everyone's attention that our Constitution is being violated.
Protests at Tesla centers continue across the country. Saturday, hundreds gathered outside the location in Milford.
What they are doing is tearing apart the government. It was once controlled by offices, by legislative means, and they're doing what they want without following the.
They were joined by Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal in opposition to the Trump administration, specifically Elon Musk, who heads up the Department of Government Efficiency. The rally was organized by the advocacy group Indivisible Orange. The mayor of Shelton is eyeing education as he looks to try and offer a balanced budget proposal. Mayor Mark Loretti's proposed budget for the coming fiscal year slashes $3 million from the local school board's funding request. Loretti believes the city has several $1 million in reserves that will help with education funding. The budget has to be approved by the end of May. Lawmakers in Hartford are preparing for the worst-case scenario after President Donald Trump's executive order last week to dismantle the U.S. Department of Education. Democrats say that the order could lead to losses of close to $500 million. WTNH-TV News 8 spoke with State Senator Bob Duff.
If that money goes away, we're going to eliminate school meals for children all across the state. We're going to eliminate special education funding. These are dire circumstances.
Some state Republicans, such as State Representative Joe Paletta, told News 8 they were in favor of the controversial move by the president.
Any effort to dismantle bureaucracy in D.C. in favor of local control for our education is a plus, in my opinion.
The NCAA men's basketball tournament is down to the Sweet 16. All 4 1 seeds are still alive as Auburn, Duke, Florida, and Houston have each cruised through the first 2 rounds. 6-seed BYU is making its first appearance in the regional semifinal round since 2011, while Michigan State is making its 16th trip to the Sweet 16 under head coach Tom Izzo. 10-seed Arkansas is the lowest remaining seed, heading into a matchup with 3-seed Texas Tech. And it will not be a three-peat for the UConn men Huskies. UConn and Florida were tied at the half, and the Huskies led for much of the second half. In the end, UConn lost to the number 1 seed Gators 77-75 in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The Huskies finished their season 24-11. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
84 westbound accident remains near exit 9 over in the shoulder. Backup starts on the other side of the bridge. On the Upper Merritt northbound accident, exit 53, that's in the right lane. 95 overall, planned on an hour from Greenwich going through Bridgeport. A couple of breaks along the way through. In 95 out of New Haven, just busy going through Long Wharf into West Haven. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, any showers end early, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Sunny tomorrow with a high near 50. Rain and wet snow early Wednesday over to showers before ending. Clearing in the afternoon with a high near 43. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
He's He's got a lot to say, and he's gonna say it. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
And, of course, streaming at voiceofct.com. Oh, the sinister music. You want to stream us. And also, the video stream is up and underway. Hi, I'm waving into the camera. We're on Twitch, and we're on YouTube as well. So, listen, fire up me, and then you look at the screen and go, oh, that's him? Yes. I wore the Spacely Sprocket T-shirt. You know, us folks that grew up with the Jetsons. Just saying. Look, we are firmly in the middle now of one side is saying the world is going to end if the Federal Department of Education, which is not being completely, pulled apart. You need Congress to do that. But you know what Mr. Trump wants to do under the auspices of Linda McMahon. You're hearing one side saying, well, it's going to be the end of the world. And the other side is saying, hey, calm down, chill out. All right, let's give you the end of the world scenario now. It's just heard in the news. This is Norwalk Democratic State Senator Bob Duff basically asked about this, and Mr. Duff had this to say.
If that money goes away, we're going to eliminate school meals for children all across the state. We're going to eliminate special education funding. These are dire circumstances.
Well, I have an idea, Senator. If eliminating the education department means that school kids are going to go hungry, I don't know, maybe state workers should get less of a raise, you think? Maybe we can make cuts in other departments. Now, look, I know you're probably not going to like that. That affects you. But too bad. If there's less money, you do with less. So please, for the love of God, don't start waving the hungry kid thing in front of me. Now, having said that, Linda McMahon was put through a pretty tough interview by Dana Bash on CNN. So Bob Duff says there will be hungry children in the streets. CNN's Dana Bash spoke to Linda McMahon. Let's give you about a 2-minute chunk of that and get your thoughts on it.
Most of the funding, most of all of the curriculum, and everything that goes into educating our students happens on a local level. So I'm not quite sure how eliminating the Department of Education is going to make those test scores go up.
Well, a lot of the funding that goes into states now goes with a lot of red tape, a lot of strings attached to it. And so governors and state superintendents of education have said, look, if we have the funding coming in, which allows us to be more creative, how can we spend that? The president believes, as I do, that the best education is that's closest to the students. And I want to look at some of the states that have been incredibly great over the last couple of years, like Louisiana. Their NAEP score showed that they had improved the most of any states. Those were programs that were put in place by the governors, by the superintendent of education, not having anything to do with the Department of Education in Washington. So what we need to do is to make sure that the funding has a clear path, the funding continues, but that the states are allowed to spend the money where they need to spend it, to hire teachers, increase their salaries, make sure that our students with special needs are taken care of. And that's what we want to make sure that happens.
All right, so there you go. That was Linda McMahon, of course, well-known Fairfield County person, served in the first Trump White House as well. Her kind of counter-argument, although not directly to Bob Dove. So we have Democrats, and you tell me who's right. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle. I don't know. But we have the Democratic opposition talking about this like being the worst thing possible. And then you have Republicans like Linda McMahon and others who are saying, hey, this just gets rid of the red tape. Now, I have taken calls on this program from a few teachers, active and retired, who say, hey, this federal money comes with, as Linda McMahon just said, listen, I'm no expert on this, but this money comes with strings attached. And getting rid of the Department of Education, assuming she's being truthful, assuming the White House is being truthful, saying the money will just be given directly to the states, the funnel of the education department isn't there. Is this going to be the end of the world here? Why don't we just try this? Because, again, understand, just some clarity here. It would take actually an act of Congress to get rid of the Department of Education. The Department of Education was gone for years until Jimmy Carter, God rest his soul, brought it back. Did we graduate smart people and smart kids and boys and girls and young men and young women out of our public school system prior to the Carter years? Yeah, probably. I would think. I'm no expert here. But again, why not just try it? And listen, if it crashes down, if it looks like a 5-car pileup on the Merritt Parkway, so be it. It can be brought back. It's not officially going away until Congress says it is. Now, the Trump White House and the president apparently is going to do what's within their and or his power. I can't comment as a professional on that. I'm just saying what relating to you what I hear and read. But as I say all the time, and I will repeat my thoughts on this over and over again, the people who are afraid of change are the ones most afraid it might work. Well, it's going to come crashing down. Well, how do you know it's going to come crashing down? My gut feeling tells me is most of the pushback on this is coming from people who say, well, we don't want, like she pointed out, Louisiana. They pointed out, and obviously when you point out a southern red state, you're going to get the same old useless trope of, well, it's racist, it's sexist, it's homophobic. So to me, I don't know. Maybe that's the ulterior motive here. But again, here's my simple question. Why not give it a try? Why not?
Coming up tomorrow on Melissa in the Morning on the Voice of Connecticut, WICC 695.9.
A Connecticut man allegedly held captive for more than 20 years, and officials say the stepmother in this case is to blame. We'll hear from the attorney representing that stepmother tomorrow morning at 6:35.
Melissa in the Morning, weekdays starting at 5 a.m. on WICC 695.9, the Voice of Connecticut.
Come out to Yankee Stadium on Friday, May 2nd when the Yankees host the Tampa Bay Rays and be ready to receive a Yankees promotional giveaway. It's Jazz Chisholm Jr. Basketball Jersey Night, presented by StubHub. The first 18,000 guests will receive a Jazz Chisholm Jr. basketball jersey. For tickets, log on to Yankees.com/tickets. Again, don't miss the Yankees and Rays for Jazz Chisholm Basketball Jersey Night, presented by StubHub on Friday, May 2nd. Visit Yankees.com/tickets today.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EARN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
84 westbound accident remains near exit 9 over in the shoulder. Backup starts on the other side of the bridge. On the Upper Merritt northbound accident, exit 53, that's in the right lane. 95 overall, planned on an hour from Greenwich going through Bridgeport. A couple of breaks along the way through. In 95 out of New Haven, just busy going through Long Wharf into West Haven. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Any showers end this evening, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Tomorrow sunny with a high near 50. On Wednesday, a mixture of rain and wet snow early over to showers in the afternoon. Partly sunny by late in the day with a high in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
Tell Paul what he needs to know. Text 203-333-9422. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Pizzelli. WICC 600 and 95.9. The voice of Connecticut.
Yeah, that text line always open. The same thing on the call line at 203-333-9422. 333-WICC. Listen, I'm all for trying stuff. Now, here's the problem, though. The federal government, some of these offices, and even the state offices, they're so ingrained as far as employees and funding and spending. But here's the question. If you think you can improve performance of kids, right? If you think the kids will do better, if trying to get kids educated in a better mode and trying to pick up test scores and looking for ways to do that, should saving federal jobs stand in the way of that? And look, believe me, I've been hired and fired more times in this business and some other stuff I've done over the years. It sucks to lose your job. It ain't. And I know people say, well, this was the best thing that could have happened to me. No. Stop trying to cope. Losing a job is not the best thing that could have happened to you. In the end, it sometimes it makes you change your attitude and realize that you have to change and realize that there was a way to find a better position in the long run. But when you get that pink slip or you get that notice or your boss says, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? The thump of that's a thump. We've all gone through that. Maybe not all of us, but most of us. We don't want to hear, well, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Now, a couple of weeks, a couple of months down the line, I understand where you're going on that, but come on, stop. So I get the anger of some people saying, hey, if this happens, all these people are going to lose their jobs. Well, is there a trade-off into getting education to function better? And maybe it will and maybe it won't. Maybe this will blow up in the president's face. I don't know. None of us know. Because I'm certainly not in the education business, and most of you aren't. And those who are tend to call or email or text this radio station. So please spare me we can't do this. No, and, if you're Bob Duff, sir, with all due respect, spare me the kids will go hungry. We won't have enough money to feed the kids. No, you do have enough money if you don't provide, if you stop with the benefits for illegals. Now, you can give them benefits, but don't start laughing and yelling at some conservative groups when they quote a figure to say how much we're spending and say that's not true. And then when we ask you about that, what's the figure? Everybody from the governor on down goes, blah, 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 blah. No, what's the figure? Maybe you can feed kids if you're not going to guarantee state employees $400 million in raises over the next 2 years. What's more important, the union vote or making sure kids aren't hungry? Well, Trump. Well, guess what? You wouldn't have had Trump if you ran a competent candidate who could complete a sentence, who could answer a question without giving us war and peace. My God, I went back and watched some of her stuff the other day. Good Lord. Oh, well, we were afraid because she was a mixed race woman. Well, you know what then? And don't complain. You're listening. You got Trump. Stop the complaining. And we got a segment here I'll bring up in just a couple of seconds, about 90 seconds, with Jim Himes, Fairfield County, Democratic congressman, pretty powerful guy on the Hill now. They asked him, hey, you want Chuck Schumer to step aside? Wait till you hear the answer to that one. I feel sorry for Democrats being asked this stuff. I do. I mean, you don't want to throw your boss under the bus. Jeez. So listen, are you losing sleep at night that the Department of Education, it's not going away, but some of its powers are being vastly degraded? Why don't we try it? Just try it. That's all. If it doesn't work, we can go back to the old way. We can do it. July 20th, 1969, 2 men landed on the moon. If we can do that, we can figure out funding for education. It's not hard. We got to the moon on slide rules and primitive computers. Henry's with us. Henry, good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, I hope I have a minute. They talk about Trump killing democracy. He won by a considerable margin, did he not?
Yeah, well, yeah, he won.
That's the definition. That's the definition of a democracy: majority rule.
Mm-hmm.
The majority is ruling now. You know, make America great again. And I don't want to sound like a pessimist, but when I was a kid, I'm 74 years old. When I was a kid, every kid had a lunchbox.
Yeah, I did.
Every kid had a lunchbox.
I did. I know where you're going.
Every kid had a lunchbox.
No, I know what you mean.
So what I'm saying now, the poorer kids, let's say you give them a few more bucks on their food stamps to allow mommy to make the bologna sandwich, the little cupcake in the little box.
Nice.
You know, but it would still save a lot of money. Don't forget, the majority make America great again. Well, we're talking about those kind of days.
Listen,
that would make it great again.
Listen,
you voted for this.
Listen.
And look at the choice we had. You're 100% right. If you didn't like Trump, look at the other choice.
Yeah.
You know, we have a choice.
Yeah, well.
No, they make you believe you have a choice.
Yeah. Well, look, Henry.
They make me believe you have a choice.
The
only way to shake things up would be not to vote.
Well, thank you.
That would shake things up.
Well, like Henry.
Then the real power out there would say, you know what? They're not as stupid as we thought they were.
Well, but here's the other thing, Henry. Thank you for the call. I am not to Henry's point. I'm never a don't vote guy, because if you don't vote because you're unhappy with the choices, then the powers that be in the major parties sit there and you know what they do? They put their feet up on the desk, they light a big fat cigar, and they laugh at you. Now, what both sides should do going forward is demand better choices. So a lot of you friends, a lot of my friends there on the progressive side, well, you know, Trump this and that. Well, you know what? Your party was too afraid to push aside a multi-ethnic woman because a lot of folks knew, and they knew, folks. I don't know whether I mentioned this to you. They came out. All the Democratic powers that be, the ones that would go on the record, they came out after the election. I think I told you this. You can find the story. It was in the Hill. They didn't have one internal poll, not one, that showed Kamala Harris ahead of Donald Trump any time in that race. Could you imagine that? They spent $1 billion, not $100 million. They spent $1 billion. And at the same time, they were seeing polls that said she's not leading. And they spent $1 billion. All right, we did Linda McMahon. Let's do Jim Himes, 4th District, Fairfield County Democrat. Jim Himes yesterday with Margaret Brennan on CBS's Face the Nation. And she asked about the leadership of one Chuck Schumer and all in the Senate and Hakeem Jeffries in the House.
Most of the funding, most of all.
Oh, wait a minute. That's not it, Paul. Come on. Bring up the right stuff. There you go. Now, Jim Himes, take 2.
I was listening to a town hall that you did this past Thursday in Connecticut, and you were asked who the leader of the Democratic Party is. You threw out some of the sort of known entities, governors out there, but you said, while the party is not leaderless, Hakeem Jeffries is young and untested, and Leader Schumer is not a wartime president. Do you think that your party can afford to stay the course with the existing leadership they have?
Margaret, I think we can do a lot better job with the leadership that we had. What I was acknowledging in that town hall meeting, and I will tell you, I've seen a lot of town hall meetings. I saw Chuck Grassley's town hall meeting. I saw my colleagues from Wyoming's, Ruby Red Wyoming's time in the barrel, and people are outraged. They're outraged mainly, by the way, because they're coming to understand what Medicaid cuts are going to look like for them, what it means to obliterate programs that so much of the country, 70 million people in the case of Medicaid, rely on. So there's an immense amount of anger. What I do know is that it was not a good look for the two congressional Democratic leaders to be on opposite sides of the continuing resolution. That created a great deal of agita out there, and legitimately so. So I am quite certain that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have learned from this experience and are going to, at a minimum, be unified going forward here.
Next bus, you see, get under it. Traffic and weather together and agita, like the congressman said on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
84 westbound accident remains near exit 9 over in the shoulder. Backup starts on the other side of the bridge. On the Upper Merritt northbound accident, exit 53, that's in the right lane. 95 overall, planned on an hour from Greenwich going through Bridgeport. A couple of breaks along the way through. In 95 out of New Haven, just busy going through Long Wharf into West Haven. I'm Edge Krause, WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, any showers end early, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Sunny tomorrow with a high near 50. Rain and wet snow early Wednesday over to showers before ending. Clearing in the afternoon with a high near 43. I'm meteorologist Paul Bjork on WICC.
Join the Center for Family Justice for Walk a Mile in Her Shoes on Saturday, April 26th in downtown Fairfield. Walk a Mile is a fun and engaging community awareness event that asks men and boys to take their first step to end violence against women and girls. Gather your team, bring your pet, and show your support for victims and survivors of abuse by registering to join in the walk on April 26th. Learn more or register for Walk a Mile in Her Shoes at centerforfamilyjustice.org.
Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA guide at betternestegg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Go to betternestegg.com.
Back to the news and talk. Thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC 695.9. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli.
Hey, coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, our pal, Terry Cowgill from the Connecticut News Junkie. He also has a Substack column regarding, you ready for this? TDS. You know, it's becoming a joke, you know, with tongue-in-cheek. We're just having a good time here. What they call Trump derangement syndrome. Well, Terry's got a pretty good column about that. Hey, coming up, though, in just a few, a local Politico who says, no, we need more information about that video that was released that really got the latest Bridgeport absentee ballot mess underway. You know the video we're talking about, allegedly, Wanda Jeter Pataki allegedly carrying a pile of what allegedly, just being careful here, folks, company lawyers, allegedly the absentee ballots that were stuffed allegedly into a drop box. We'll talk to him about that and more as we continue on Connecticut Today.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. The president's announced more investment, which he links to his tariffs. Stacey Lynn reports.
Hyundai will be building a brand new steel plant in Louisiana, which will produce more than 2.7 million metric tons of steel a year.
And the president credited his aggressive tariffs for getting the deal done.
As a result, they'll not have to pay any tariffs. You know, there are no tariffs if you make your product in America.
He said,
get ready.
Because of the tariffs, cars are coming into this country at levels never seen before.
This investment is a clear demonstration that tariffs very strongly work.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News, the White House.
The Trump administration is asking the Supreme Court to weigh in on a judge's order that thousands of fired federal workers be reinstated. Legal analyst Lori Levinson.
This is an important issue because the big question is really whether Trump and his new administration have crossed the bounds and basically said that you can fire people, change the agencies, take whatever steps you want as part of the executive power.
The Supreme Court seems closely divided over a challenge to Louisiana's congressional map, which has 2 black majority districts for the first time. Columbia University professors are speaking out after the school agreed to several demands from the Trump administration involving protests on campus. Correspondent Matt Piper.
Students at Columbia University are returning to class for the first time since the school gave in to the Trump administration's demands to restore $400 million in federal funding. Their professors held what they called a vigil to go against the changes in disciplinary policies, including restricting protests and banning masks.
The federal government is trying to control what is said, thought, discussed, and debated on our campuses.
The Trump administration's crackdown on Columbia has sparked fears of similar actions at colleges across the country. Matt Piper, CBS News, New York.
Air raid sirens sounded in Israel again today, after what was another apparent launch from Houthi rebels in Yemen. Israel continued its airstrikes in Gaza, going after Hamas. Reporter Robert Berger.
Their message is that Hamas officials have nowhere to hide. If they try to hide in hospitals, the Israeli army is going to get them. Israel says it's killed at least 10 senior Hamas officials since the ceasefire broke down a week ago.
Gaza officials say more than 60 Palestinians have been killed in the past 24 hours. And the UN is reducing its footprint in Gaza after an Israeli tank strike hit one of its compounds last week. Israel has denied it. On Wall Street, the Dow finished the day nearly 600 points higher. This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-230-2777. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-230-2777, 800-230-2777, or biglou.com.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Police are investigating after 2 middle school girls were approached by a man who tried to lure them into his van as they walked to school in Stamford. Officers say the girls were approached in 2 separate incidents this past Friday. The man did not grab the students or chase them, and officers say the girls attend different schools. Authorities are looking to track down the suspect and his vehicle. A Bridgeport teen is in the hospital after being shot in the East End. Police say the 14-year-old boy was shot in the leg Saturday evening along Union Avenue. The teen was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. It's unclear what led up to the shooting, but police say they have several strong leads in the case, and they are looking to interview more potential witnesses. Air conditioning is coming to all school classrooms in Stamford. District officials say there are over 3 dozen window air conditioner installations left to do, but all classrooms should have some form of air conditioning by the end of April. The project to get air conditioning to all classrooms began in 2022 when a district review found over 350 classrooms had no form of cool air relief. And the NCAA men's basketball tournament is down to the Sweet 16. All 4 1 seeds are still alive as Auburn, Duke, Florida, and Houston have each cruised through the first 2 rounds. 6-seed BYU is making its first appearance in the regional semifinal round since 2011, while Michigan State is making its 16th trip to the Sweet 16 under head coach Tom Izzo. 10-seed Arkansas is the lowest remaining seed heading into a matchup with 3-seed Texas Tech. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
84 westbound accident remains near exit 9 over in the shoulder. Backup starts on the other side of the bridge. On the Upper Merritt northbound accident, exit 53, that's in the right lane. 95 overall, plan on an hour from Greenwich going through Bridgeport. A couple of breaks along the way through. In 95 out of New Haven, just busy going through Long Wharf into West Haven. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Any showers end this evening, clearing after midnight, below in the mid-30s. Tomorrow is sunny with a high near 50. On Wednesday, a mixture of rain and wet snow early over to showers in the afternoon. Partly sunny by late in the day with a high in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Right, open phones here for a couple of minutes. John Fayen is going to join us in a couple of minutes, treasurer of the Independent Party of Connecticut. He's filed a Freedom of Information Act request wanting more info on who leaked that video that kicked off the latest odyssey. There's two of them. You know, sometimes you got to score at home to be up to snuff as to what's going on. But we will talk to John momentarily about the information that has been released so far, although more people want more on that video that kicked off the Bridgeport absentee ballot fiasco. 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Last segment gave you a couple of things here from Fairfield County high-profile folks, Jim Himes and Linda McMahon. But we kicked off the day with a notion that I'm getting a warning that, there just might be in the offing, not immediately, but as the years go on and more people drive and buy and purchase and are happy with electric vehicles, there's less and less and less and less and fewer bucks going into the state transportation fund. So what to do about that? Because EV drivers, and we love them, listen, those are high-dollar vehicles. And, for example, if you have a Tesla, where they had that protest over the weekend, if you have a Tesla, you got to maintain the vehicles. We get that. We understand that. But the folks who drive and purchase and happily own EVs, they're not paying a gasoline tax. They're not paying a mileage tax. So what to do? How do you do that? How do you generate more income knowing that every single hour of every single day, probably, there are more EVs being sold and purchased and happily used in the state? What is the solution for that? And I floated something that I said, listen, is probably going to happen. Not sooner than later, but later than sooner. I really think Connecticut, there's going to be a big push in this state to eventually go, not in the immediate future, but perhaps to eventually go to a mileage tax. Meaning that with the understanding that the gasoline tax would go away, you would then get charged a penny a mile, a penny and a half for every mile you drive. You drive only 10,000 miles a year, you're going to get hit with, what would that be, $100? But you're not. But again, you say, but you're not paying a gasoline tax. See, there's no way on God's green or brown or blue earth, multicolored, looks like a little marble, would I want that if the gasoline tax was still there. You can't do that. But honestly and really, what are your ideas here to make this equitable? In other words, what do we do? Does Connecticut go ahead and do what other states do, primarily red states, and say, hey, love your EV, but that's going to cost you an extra $50 a year, $75 a year, $100, $200 a year, maybe $200, $300 every time you renew the registration? How do you account for the revenue that's not there when they're not buying gas? These are part of the growing pains, part of the, shall I say, I was going to say the puberty of EVs, but that's So listen, and remember, an EV is not buying any gasoline, and a hybrid is buying far less. Because a hybrid does, but just by nature of the name here, the hybrid does switch off between a gasoline engine and an electric engine. But what are the choices here? What do we do here? Because we got to do something. And I know there are people in Hartford on both parties who think they know the right answer, but they won't say it because people will recoil. Would you recoil if the state says, hey, we want to charge you X amount of money per mile, a penny and a half, 2 cents a mile on a given year, or 2 cents for the first 10 or 20,000 miles, however it would work? If it meant that, along with that, that would include getting rid of the state tax on gasoline.
For the latest news in Southern Connecticut, WICC is where you turn first on 600 AM and now 95.9 on FM. Hear your favorite live and local shows during the week. Melissa in the Morning, The Lisa Wexler Show, Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on both 600 and 95.9. Plus more live and local news updates on weekends to keep you informed. You found the voice of Connecticut. WICC 600 and 95.9.
Looking for a reliable dentist in your neighborhood? Columbia Dental's Norwalk office is here for you. Located at 91 East Avenue, our team of general dentists and an oral surgeon are ready to serve you. As part of the Columbia Implant Center network in Manchester, we offer 7-day-a-week services, including an in-house digital dental lab for same-day emergency care. Visit our website at columbiadental.com for more information and to book your appointment today. Your smile is our priority.
Progressive Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance might be the easiest part of owning a home. Definitely easier than this.
Psst, honey. Honey! What? Shh, there's a salesman walking up the driveway. Oh no, he's got a clipboard. What do we do? Get down. Down? On the floor, you... Shoot, did he see us? Why are you breathing so loud?
Home ownership isn't easy, but with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, shopping for home insurance is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
You're listening to WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut, broadcasting from Cadillac of Greenwich Studios, CadillacofGreenwich.com.
Hi, Jonathan Carbuty with Carbuty Real Estate. If you're thinking about selling your home, write this number down, 203-980-6886. Again, that's 203-980-6886. Whether it's a divorce, upsizing, downsizing, or even probate, we can help with any of your real estate needs. We can even give you a cash offer for your home. Call us today and experience the Carbuty difference.
Sell your home smoothly when you call Carbuty. Go to CarbutyRealEstate.com.
Hungry for inspiration in the kitchen? Join us Saturdays at 3 p.m. on WICC for Plum Love Foods, your ultimate food talk destination.
Hey, it's Chef Plum. I'm a 6-time Emmy-nominated chef with over 30 years in the industry. And unlike other food shows, we don't just talk about food. We actually work in the hospitality industry. Learn about some awesome food people in our state, or just have a laugh because it's just food. Plum Love Foods. No agenda, no politics, just food.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother got life insurance from Ethos, and it only took 10 minutes. And he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online, no medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit ethos.com/score. Ethos.com/score.
Sample Rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Upper Merritt northbound accident, exit 53. That's taking out the right side, has things backed up into Trumbull. 95 north, plan on an hour from Greenwich to Bridgeport. A couple breaks along the way. Out on New Haven, 95 south, busy but moving through Long Wharf and the Wilbur Cross. Same deal on both sides going through the tunnel. 84 westbound, residual delays through Newtown from an earlier issue. Traffic report powered by Optimum. Take your business to the next level with Optimum Business Essentials. Get reliable, secure internet connection backup and business phone, all for just $9 $5 a month. Visit Optimum.com/business or call 855-2-OPTIMUM today. Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, any showers end early, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Sunny tomorrow with a high near 50. Rain and wet snow early Wednesday over to showers before ending, clearing in the afternoon with a high near 43. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Got something to say? Give Paul a call. 203-333-9422. Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, before we get back to the intrigue in Bridgeport, which never seems to go away, helps me plan my show. Before we talk to our guest coming up in just moments, so first, Bill in Easton's with us. Bill, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing okay. You know, that tax on the mileage is going to kill a lot of small businesses. But then again, Connecticut's good for killing small businesses.
Well, that I know. Yeah. But what if in exchange, Bill, and I know this may be a fantasy of mine, but what if in exchange for that the gasoline tax went away?
Yeah, but you still have the federal taxes.
Yeah, but you'd get away 25 cents less on gas. Now I know diesel's worse, but you'd get away with 25 cents less. You think that's a selling point to people or not?
With some maybe, with some not.
Okay, all right. You're not buying it though, from what I can tell by the tone of your voice.
No, I'm not buying it because if you put it over 10,000 miles on a vehicle with your business. You get nailed because especially if you have a fleet like 12 or 14 vehicles.
Yeah. No, Bill, listen, and thank you for the call, Bill. Yeah, listen, if they were to go ahead and do this, and believe me, they're thinking about it. They would never admit it, but from what I read and hear, they're thinking about it. You would need to address all that stuff that Bill just mentioned. Just businesses. If you have 2 or 3, imagine a business that's got service trucks and a fleet, and now you got to keep tabs on the mileage. Yikes. It's much more fun to keep tabs on Bridgeport. See, that's called a segue. John Fahan is the guest right now. Now, you may have heard him a couple of days ago with Melissa in the morning right here on WICC. John joins us now to talk about something and questions he's asking regarding the ongoing drama that is the city of Bridgeport. Hi, John. It's Paul here at WICC. How are you, sir?
Good, Paul. Good to be with you.
And now, John, you are you explain. Now, you're a former Democrat, I know that, but you are now affiliated with the Independent Party of Connecticut, not independent voters. I have to stress this. There is, for people who don't know it, the Independent Party of Connecticut. Talk a little about that.
Yes, much of the public doesn't realize that the Independent Party of Connecticut is the third largest political party in the state of Connecticut. We have over 30,000 members. And just an interesting footnote, we became a statewide party for the first time in 2008 when we ran Ralph Nader as our candidate for president. And he made us a statewide party. And we basically been a statewide party ever since, and that means a lot of different things, but it's very important. And so I was a Democrat for years. I was on the Board of Representatives in Stamford back in the early 2000s, and so I served when Malloy was mayor, and I saw all those guys, Malloy, Jepson. I knew they wanted to move up the ranks. I saw them up close and personal, and I knew they wanted to move up the ranks in politics. So I go back a bit. I'm not really a household name in the state of Connecticut among the public, but the politicians, most of them in the state, know me or have heard of me. They call me all the time for advice, and I'm happy to give, especially if they want to run or be endorsed on the Independent Party line.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a known quantity throughout the state. So people who saw my name in the paper, from the governor on down, and everybody in between, politicians, kind of know who I am. So it wasn't a shock.
Were they? You think a lot of them, John? Were they smiling at what they read, or were they were they grinding their teeth?
Republicans are probably happy. Democrats probably were not. It depends, though.
Okay.
But you see, we have a lot to talk about, Paul. I mean, as you could see, there's a groundswell. The government administration and elections committee in Hartford has been busy since Friday. There are a lot of bills: SB 1536, SB 1156. SB 1515, 1516. A lot of these bills are covering elections and dramatically increasing the oversight of our local elections.
Now
there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Now you filed a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request, John. It's something that I think we all read and said, well, how is this? So the internal investigation as to not so much the absentee ballots themselves, God, that's being investigated by a bunch of people, but there was always a question of where did this video come from and who leaked that? And we kind of got this, well, we're not really sure, so we're going to stop looking. And you didn't take too kindly to that.
Well, I think that you only could speculate that they found information that they don't want to release outside the original scope. So I filed my Freedom of Information appeal as an individual member of the Independent Party because I was involved with the Gomes campaign at that time. And I just feel for the sake of transparency and that the public has a right to have confidence in our elections. What was in that report? The taxpayers paid for that report, and the excuse that, oh, well, we want to save money. Really, in Bridgeport? I mean, really? Suddenly they want to save the taxpayer money, and they don't want to spend any more money on this report, and that's why they canceled the report? That doesn't fly with anybody.
So did you now I can't say off the record because we're on the radio, but no names or anything, please. But have you been contacted, or did you run into people, John Fan, who said, "Hey, thanks for doing that because there's more here"?
Absolutely.
Really, talk about that.
I talked to many people throughout the state, and the responses that I officially got from people were positive. I didn't hear from anyone yet in the political realm who's probably not happy with what I did, but it is what it is. I think that what you're seeing, especially with the Connecticut Mirror reporting and with the election reforms that are going to be happening, there's been proposed a municipal election accountability board, I think, which is great and incredible. So I think that because of the pressure that John Gomes has been putting into this for the past year and a half, and, I do my little part the other day in the Connecticut Post, that I think I've slowly been monitoring this the past year and a half, and I've been telling people, this is going to get worse, and it has. And now I believe that the Democrats in the state of Connecticut realize that they have to get tougher on the oversight of these local elections, and they're finally joining the Republicans who suggested tougher bills last year, including...
But, John, let me ask you something. John, do they have to get tougher? I mean, it's a deep blue state with deep blue cities. Morally you would like it, but let's deal in the real world here. Do they have to get tougher?
I think you have to send a message, and for people to have, this is what the public wants. If you ask regular people, you just don't go to the party people, but you regular people. I'm a working man. This is not what I do for a living. This is a hobby for me. I don't get paid to do this. I talk to regular, real people, and this is what the people out there want.
John Fahan is the guest. He has filed a Freedom of Information Act request to get a little more regarding this kind of half message we got from an attorney with the city the other day talking about what has been found and the decision, I guess, based on money, they tell us, to not go any further with the forensic examination. Now, John, as I understand it, they did bring in a forensic computer expert, right, to kind of sniff this out. So they must have some leads somehow.
Yeah, I really don't. It's my interest is not, as I stated in the paper, is not who released it, but what happens usually with these investigations is that they go outside their scope, and whether on purpose or by accident, they get other information. And the report, I agree that certain things should be redacted in the report, people's IDs and
Sure.
all that.
Yeah.
So, I just think part of the reason I did this also, not only because it should be released, is that the public now understands our freedom of information laws are not as free as they should be. And that's part of one of the people ask me all the time, what's the independent party about, John? Do you have any ideology? And we have no ideology. That is our ideology.
Mm-hmm.
But one of our platforms is looser freedom of information laws than how they stand now, and that's one of our platforms. So I'm promoting one of the platforms of the independent party by doing this. Also, this is what we stand for. So I think that you're always on the right side of things if you're asking for more and more transparency and not less.
Absolutely. Absolutely. John, thank you. The website, by the way, ctindependence with an S.org, ctindependence.org. Get more information about the Independent Party of Connecticut. As our guest, John Fahan, has pointed out, the third largest party now in the entire state. Hey, John, you have my email. You got the contact number. So anything comes out you want to talk about, feel free to contact me, okay?
Thank you, Paul. Good talking to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, John. John Fahan, Fahan, he's the treasurer of the Independent Party of Connecticut. Traffic and weather together right here. We move along. News coming up, all that on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Upper Merritt northbound accident, exit 53. That's taking out the right side, has things backed up into Trumbull. 95 north, plan on an hour from Greenwich to Bridgeport. A couple of breaks along the way. Out on New Haven, 95 south, busy but moving through Long Wharf and the Wilbur Cross. Same deal on both sides going through the tunnel. 84 westbound, residual delays through Newtown from an earlier issue. Traffic report powered by Optimum. Take your business to the next level with Optimum Business Essentials. Get reliable, secure internet connection backup and business phone, all for just $90 a month. Visit Optimum.com/business or call 855-2-OPTIMUM today. Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
Any showers end this evening, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Tomorrow sunny with a high near 50. On Wednesday, a mixture of rain and wet snow early over to showers in the afternoon. Partly sunny by late in the day with a high in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
Sometimes the most important personal breakthroughs are made possible by medical ones. And that's why Yale New Haven Health's Heart and Vascular Center delivers the pioneering science of Yale School of Medicine, like groundbreaking research that helped redefine the international guidelines for treating heart failure, and a new procedure to detect coronary microvascular disease, often misdiagnosed in women. Yale New Haven Health and Yale School of Medicine. Together, we're powering breakthroughs with the greatest of care.
Dine out for half price. It's a sweet deal week at voiceofct.com. Great local restaurants are offering $50 gift cards for only $25. Go to voiceofct.com, click on the sweet deal banner. Restaurants include AB's Falafel, Little Pub, Joseph's Steakhouse, Twisted Vine, Caloroso Eatery, Gusto, Hair of the Dog, Twin Pines, Sports Center, the Adventure Park, Choice Pet, and more. Buy $50 gift cards for only $25. Go to voiceofct.com, click the sweet deals banner.
Struggling with back taxes or unfiled returns? Owe the IRS $10,000 or more? With the IRS ramping up enforcement, taxpayers across the country are turning to tax relief helpers. Call 800-885-0622 now. End IRS stress today. Stop collection efforts, wage garnishments, and sleepless nights. Tax relief helpers can help you or your business settle your tax debt quickly and affordably. Call the Tax Relief Helpers hotline at 800-885-0622. That's 800-885-0622. Start your relief today.
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News Brief. President Trump today announced a nearly $6 billion steel manufacturing project in Louisiana. The Hyundai plan will create more than 5,000 jobs.
Cars are coming into this country at levels never seen before. Get ready. This investment is a clear demonstration that tariffs very strongly work.
There are indications Trump may scale back some of the tariffs planned to take effect April 2nd. Talks are underway in Saudi Arabia on a limited ceasefire for Ukraine and Russia. Security consultant Sam Vinograd said at the heart of the deal is opening shipping lanes in the Black Sea.
Low-income countries that depend very heavily on grain that's exported through these critical shipping lanes.
Parts of the South are fighting wildfires. Jason Barry in Virginia says debris from Hurricane Helene isn't helping.
It's all over the forest. It's all over the mountains.
The fires are being fueled by dry conditions and gusty winds. CBS News Brief, I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
This is our demonstration to stand up for democracy and bring it to everyone's attention that our Constitution is being violated.
Protests at Tesla dealerships continue across the country. Saturday, hundreds gathered outside the Milford Tesla dealership.
What they are doing is tearing apart the government. It was once controlled by offices, by legislative means, and they're doing what they want without following the.
They were joined by Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal in opposition to the Trump administration, specifically Elon Musk, who heads up the Department of Government Efficiency. The rally was organized by the advocacy group Indivisible Orange. The mayor of Shelton is eyeing education as he looks to try and offer a balanced budget proposal. Mayor Mark Loretti's proposed budget for the coming fiscal year slashes $3 million from the local school board's funding request. Loretti believes the city has several $1 million in reserves that will help with education funding. The budget has to be approved by the end of May. Lawmakers in Hartford are preparing for the worst-case scenario after President Donald Trump's executive order last week to dismantle the U.S. Department of Education. Democrats say that the order could lead to losses of close to $500 million. WTNH-TV News 8 spoke with State Senator Bob Duff.
If that money goes away, we're going to eliminate school meals for children all across the state. We're going to eliminate special education funding. These are dire circumstances.
Some state Republicans, such as State Representative Joe Pauletta, told News 8 they were in favor of the controversial move by the president.
Any effort to dismantle bureaucracy in D.C. in favor of local control for our education is a plus, in my opinion.
The woman accused of holding her stepson captive for decades at her Waterbury home is now being tied to a 1986 murder. Kimberly Sullivan is charged with kidnapping, cruelty to persons, and other crimes related to the torture of her 32-year-old stepson. Connecticut investigators say Sullivan was among the last people to see Laura Melio alive on July 16, 1986. Robert Burke was eventually arrested and pleaded guilty to the murder of Melio, whom her family says was left alone by Sullivan the night before she was killed. Fairfield Community Trades and the Carpenters Union held a rally this past Saturday protesting the business practices of Pillar Property Management, LLC, as well as two subcontractors. Protesters have alleged payroll fraud against the contractors and accused those same companies of hiring cheaper labor from out of state instead of employing local Bridgeport workers. One of those attending the rally was former Bridgeport Mayor Bill Finch.
Bridgeport seems like it's had an epidemic of low-class developers coming in, being shut down for not paying their taxes, not paying their unemployment compensation, risking workers paying cash under the table, being fined excessively. You know, in the past, we've had union work, we've had it done on time, on budget, and now we have all these lower quality developers coming in. They're not hiring local people.
State Senator Heron Gaston also was in attendance at the rally and said many local union members are afraid of being left out of future development projects.
I'm very much concerned about the folks who are from Bridgeport not having access and opportunity to be able to make, a livable wage for themselves and their families. And they believe that over time, they will be pushed out of their own city. And I want to make sure that does not happen.
4 juveniles were arrested Saturday night as the result of multiple fights at Urban Air Trampoline and Adventure Park in Orange. WTNH-TV News 8 reported police responded for fights both inside and outside the building involving a large number of people. Mutual aid was provided by West Haven Police. The 4 juveniles were eventually turned over to the custody of their parents. Residents of Fairfield County have power back on after sweeping outages over the weekend. Severe weather, including strong winds, took out thousands of customers Friday into Saturday. Wind gusts were reported as high as 50 miles per hour, Eversource crews were working well into yesterday afternoon to restore the few that remained in the dark. Chain restaurants continue to close throughout Connecticut. Industry officials are sounding an alarm after eateries like TGI Fridays closed entirely, while restaurants like Ruby Tuesdays on the border and Hooters have closed locations throughout Connecticut in recent months. Experts say a variety of reasons likely explain the closures, with some restaurants like Hooters simply running their course as a theme amongst eateries. Officials also point to the rise of food delivery services, which is keeping people at home more and not filling restaurants. It will not be a three-peat for the Yukon Husky men. Yukon and Florida were tied at the half, and the Huskies led for much of the second half. In the end, Yukon lost to the number 1 seed Gators 77-75 in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The Huskies finished their season 24-11. And the University of Connecticut women's basketball team will face South Dakota State tonight in the second round of the NCAA tournament. It's the first time the second seed Huskies and 10th seed Jackrabbits have ever met. Game time is 8 p.m. at Gamble Pavilion in Stores. The game will be televised by ESPN. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Upper Merritt northbound accident, exit 53. That's taking out the right side, has things backed up into Trumbull. 95 north, plan on an hour from Greenwich to Bridgeport. A couple breaks along the way. Out of New Haven, 95 south, busy but moving through Long Wharf and the Wilbur Cross. Same deal on both sides going through the tunnel. 84 westbound, residual delays through Newtown from an earlier issue. Traffic report powered by Optimum. Take your business to the next level with Optimum Business Essentials. Get reliable, secure internet connection backup and business phone, all for just $90 a month. Visit Optimum.com/business or call 855-2-OPTIMUM today. Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, any showers end early, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Sunny tomorrow with a high near 50. Rain and wet snow early Wednesday over to showers before ending, clearing in the afternoon with a high near 43. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
Our phone lines are always open. 203-333-9422. Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9. The voice of Connecticut.
And thanks once again to our guest last segment, John Fahan. He is the treasurer of the Independent Party of Connecticut. And again, that understand there is an actual party called the Independent Party. That doesn't mean non-affiliated or independent voters, but good for John. About a week and change ago, in fact, it was a week ago today, he filed a Freedom of Information Act request saying, hey, we need to know more about who likely leaked that security camera video that really started the latest chapter. But wait, there's more. The latest chapter of the Bridgeport election ballot, absentee ballot mess here. This is the 2023 one, not the 2019 one. You have to score at home here. After we saw that story last week saying, a city attorney said, well, that's it. We spent $150,000 here and we're not going to spend anymore. Okay, so what'd you find? Well, we can't tell you. No. Doesn't work that way. But again, John's website, ctindependence with an S. .org, ctindependence.org. You have been hearing all day today, and I wanted to do this now in case you were busy over the weekend. What happened over the weekend is something that I thought would happen, a demonstration, a protest, albeit a peaceful one, kudos to the people there, at the Tesla Service Center, one of the two service centers in Connecticut. One's in Milford, one's in Stamford. At the Tesla Service Center in Milford, a peaceful protest. They got people to honk as they drove by. That protest went the way protests are supposed to go. There were no, but as far as I know, there were no psychos there, no under-medicated psychos throwing Molotov cocktails, damaging Teslas, trying to smash their windows in, whatever. They were protesting, as you have the right to do, peacefully and calmly. They were protesting what they see is bad stuff from Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Kudos to our morning show producer, the world-famous Eric in the morning with Melissa in the morning. Eric went down on the weekend, talked to a lot of folks, find out why they were there. Got a few of those right now. List it up. Let me know what you think. Be nice. Don't belittle people, because you people who belittle somebody else, you'd be out there protesting for something you were strongly feeling about as well. Sandy explained why she was out there on Saturday.
I think that they're acting illegally. They're getting rid of departments that are necessary to our government's efficiency. I think that Musk has no right, has no authority to destroy what has taken our country years to establish.
All right, so that was Sandy. Now, she explained to Eric why she was out there. This next person, Mary Ellen Lloyd, she heads the Orange chapter of the group Indivisible. And remember, last week I mentioned to you that Indivisible was one of the top 2 or 3 people, obvious, or organizations, not condoning violence generally, but getting out and getting their voices heard. Once again, Mary Ellen Lloyd of the town of Orange.
2 weeks ago at our bi-monthly meeting, we came up with the idea. Everybody said okay, and Amy Plapp, who is our chair, Amy and I got the job of getting this organized. And the internet's an amazing thing. It just brings in more people in than you expected, but so far so good. Huh?
All right, there you go. Mary Ellen Lloyd of Orange, also on tap on Saturday at the Tesla Service Center on the Post Road in Milford. Protester Deborah.
I would like to see the people who do still hold power in government be able to come together and use the leverage of power that they still have within Congress to vote for the people who can remove him and stop Doge from making these incredibly intrusive cuts to these very important departments in our government.
All right, and finally, we had one final protester there that Eric talked to, asking a woman by the name of Merla her feelings as to what's going on in D.C., and why she was there on a Saturday.
What they are doing is tearing apart the government. And if you've read Project 2025, you know they're going through the chapters and decimating our federal government, putting what was once in charge, what was once controlled by offices, by legislative means, in there. They're doing what they want without following the.
So, what would you like to see done with the success of this rally?
I'd like people to start to investigate, check, think about how the changes in America are affecting them and their lives, their families, their children, and our future. This looks to me similar to 1939.
All right, an allusion there to the rise of Adolf Hitler. So Sandy, Mary Ellen, Deborah, and Merla, just 4 of the large amount. They said there's a couple hundred people out there in Milford this past Saturday.
Coming up tomorrow on Melissa in the Morning on the Voice of Connecticut, WICC 695.9.
A Connecticut man allegedly held captive for more than 20 years, and officials say the stepmother in this case is to blame. We'll hear from the attorney representing that stepmother tomorrow morning at 6:35.
Melissa in the Morning, weekdays starting at 5 a.m. on WICC 695.9, the Voice of Connecticut.
Experience the future of luxury with the new all-electric Escalade IQ, now available at Cadillac of Greenwich. Standard with hands-free driver assistance technology and Super Cruise, the Escalade IQ offers undeniable style and uncompromising comfort with the longest range of any EV SUV. Arrive in style with this pinnacle of modern automotive excellence. Visit CadillacofGreenwich.com today and elevate your driving experience with the iconic 2025 Cadillac Electric Escalade IQ.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back?
back. If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EARN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
It's time for the Market Scoreboard Report with Ron and Sana. Now on WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
A big bounce on Wall Street today as it appears that the tariffs that the president plans to impose on April 2nd, the so-called reciprocal tariffs, may be less broad than originally anticipated and could exempt some industries like autos and semiconductors. And as a result, we had a big pop in the market today with the Dow up just under 600 points and at 42,583. S&P up 100 points or 1.75% to 5767. The Nasdaq up 2.25%, 404 points as technology led the way. The Nasdaq finishing at 18,188. Reversing some of the concerns about tariffs depressing economic activity, we saw long-term bond yields rise to 4.34% on the 10-year note. The dollar firmed, oil up 91 cents to 69.19. Gold slipped nearly $4 as higher interest rates and a stronger dollar dampened gold futures, ending at $3,017 the ounce. A lot more economic data and maybe some more tariffs still to come. That is unclear, but the market's certainly taking the optimistic view today.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text SKINNY to 323232 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text SKINNY to 323232 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SKINNY to 323232. That's SKINNY to 323232. SKINNY to 323232.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
95 northbound over an hour, Greenwich to Bridgeport. The lower Merritt might save you a few minutes, but it's not great. We have rain delays all over the place, and you're working on a wet track at least, so do watch your speeds, especially on the secondary roads. New Haven, 95, busy but moving through Long Wharf and West Haven, and 84, eastbound, plenty of company through Danbury and Newtown. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Any showers end this evening, clearing after midnight, with a low in the mid-30s. Tomorrow is sunny with a high near 50. On Wednesday, a mixture of rain and wet snow early over to showers in the afternoon. Partly sunny by late in the day with a high in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
You've got thoughts. Share them with Paul. Text 203-333-9422. Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli is back on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Hey, if you just heard that commercial cluster there, you heard an ad for some generic form, basically of Ozempic and Wegovy, right? And you remember, for example, when when that first wave years and years and years ago of what they call ED medication or erectile dysfunction medication, what was Viagra was the first one, I think, and it was very expensive when it came out, and it was almost discovered by accident because it was supposed to be a blood pressure medication or something like that, whatever. Anyway, we all know what it's used to treat now, but it was really expensive at the beginning, right? And then all of a sudden you got the generics came out and the cost went down to nothing. Not that I know, but the cost went down to nothing. So the reason I bring that up is we're seeing the same thing again. Now, a lot of you know I'm a type 2 diabetic. It's pretty well in control. I'm in the low hundreds in the morning and I rarely get above, 135, 140. So I'm within the range that was set up by my previous doctor. He retired years ago, living life well, traveling the world. Good for him. Nice guy. The doctor I have now, and she's taken over for him wonderfully, she said to me, hey, listen, your numbers are good enough. Do you want to try Wegovy or Ozempic? And that idea is still kind of in consideration. I don't even know whether I want to do it. To me, the bottom line is the side effects. Now, having said that, here's where we're going here. Having said that, is that these, they're called miracle drugs, whatever, weight loss drugs, what they call the GLP-1 drugs, they work. If you stick with them and watch what you eat, your blood glucose will go down. They work. Here's the problem. They are expensive, but now the state, and this is where I get a little confused sometimes, with a lot of people saying, hey, be preventative medicine, it saves in the long run. Well, apparently now there's a, follow along here, interesting story in the Connecticut Mirror. Now, we're talking about Medicaid, right? What's going to happen with Medicaid funding? Medicaid is for the indigent poor or those who cannot pay their medical bills, many of whom may be obese, overweight, diabetes, circulation problems, whatever. The problem is just that one drug or one class of drugs is costing the state $85 million a year. They're not cheap. Listen, the pharmaceutical companies have to make money too. A lot of them, I know you don't like that. A lot of them, though, are privately held companies. They may have stock in your retirement account, whatever. Here's the problem. And maybe there's some negotiation here. But 35%, one-third, roughly, 35% is a little more than one-third. But for the sake of argument here, one out of every $3 of the state's Medicaid program pharmaceutical budget is going to these GLP-1s, as they're referred to. Ozempic, Wegovy, they're expensive, but they work. And the argument for keeping that funding level there is that, well, if they work and if you lose weight, you're not obese anymore, your chance of a gazillion other medical conditions either goes away or drops significantly. So it's interesting, and again, we have this conundrum here of something that works. Something that works, and there's a story here in the Connecticut Mirror about a woman. I don't want to get into her particulars here, but she was able to get coverage through her Medicaid insurance plan, not Medicare, Medicaid, of Mounjaro, which again is another one of these kind of miracle, quote unquote, weight loss drugs. So here's the conundrum. Does the state still keep paying for this in order to head off future expenses? I think it's a no-brainer. They're called GLP-1 drugs. Mounjaro, Wegovy, Ozempic. They're really expensive, but they work. Says right here in this story, they mimic the GLP-1 hormone in the body that controls insulin and blood glucose levels. And their effect on the brain reduces hunger. It makes people feel full longer. Without insurance, though, they're $1,000 a month. Now, you could say, well, is $1,000 too much to pay for your health? Probably not. If I had a doctor standing over me right now, say, Mr. Pacelli, you can walk out of here from the hospital tonight and be all set for $12,000, or not pay that and you're going to drop dead from a diabetic coma, guess which one I would pick? We'll figure out the money later. In fiscal year 2024, the cost of GLPs was $85 million. That amounts to $35 million of the entire Medicaid pharmaceutical budget for the year. Now, here's the controversy. Should the state stop paying for this? And I know it's expensive, but why would you do that? As a result, the state is looking to eliminate Medicaid coverage of the drugs when prescribed only for obesity. Now, part of I still have more weight than I should, and my doctor says, hey, this will make you feel better, and you'll lose weight more quickly than just doing your daily walk that I do and some light weight training and whatever. But again, this is sometimes how we look. We're really stupid here in the state. So with every doctor telling us what obesity can cause, high blood pressure, cancer, diabetes, go online and just type in diseases and conditions linked to obesity. What do you have there? Look at the list. But the state wants to eliminate Medicaid coverage of the drugs if they're prescribed only for obesity. Well, you can always lose weight on your own or exercise. Yeah, I understand that. Been there, done that. But the drugs help. And and again, let me just say, you know where I'm going here. The argument is cost. Really? Really? At the same time, you're ready to hand out $400 million in raises for state employees. And at a time where the idea of increasing the Medicaid overall budget for illegals to the age of 26 is coming in at $250 million. So you're probably going to do that, but you're going to cut back on a few $1 million of a drug that keeps people from filing future Medicaid claims. Really? Really? Please explain how that makes any sense.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound over an hour, Greenwich to Bridgeport. The lower Merritt might save you a few minutes, but it's not great. We have rain delays all over the place, and you're working on a wet track at least, so do watch your speeds, especially on the secondary roads. New Haven, 95, busy but moving through Long Wharf and West Haven, and 84 eastbound, plenty of company through Danbury and Newtown. I'm Ange Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, any showers end early, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Sunny tomorrow with a high near 50. Rain and wet snow early Wednesday over to showers before ending, clearing in the afternoon with a high near 43. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
At Abriola Parkview Funeral Home in Trumbull, we understand that planning for life's milestones is important. But what about planning for your funeral? While it may be difficult to consider, pre-planning can ease the burden on your loved ones during a challenging time. By planning now, you can ensure that your wishes are honored without leaving emotional or financial strain on your family. Visit Abriola.com to learn more about our compassionate pre-planning services. Plan today for peace of mind tomorrow.
Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA Guide at BetterNestEgg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Go to BetterNestEgg.com.
Back to the news and talk. Thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC's 695.9. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli.
And again, I'm no actuary, I'm no pharmaceutical expert, but why would, especially for people on Medicaid, whose budgets oftentimes don't let them have the best choices in food. We've all been there and done that. Hey, the less money you have, sometimes you buy food that's not exactly the most nutritional stuff out there. So, yeah, the drugs are expensive, but look at what they prevent down the road. It's that old thing. You could pay me now or pay me later. I'll keep you updated. I'm not sure whether I'm going to go the Wegovy or the Mounjaro route. It's not the injections that bother me. Don't worry. Needles don't bother me at all. I check my blood sugar once a day. So, yeah, my fingers have been banged up. I know that's not where the needle goes. But, man, that doesn't make sense. If it keeps people healthy, why not pay for it?
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. A top Democrat has called for a full investigation after a Trump administration war plan was inadvertently shared with a journalist. Matt Piper reports.
Top national security officials for President Trump, including his defense secretary and vice president, texted war plans for upcoming military strikes in Yemen on a group chat. Also on the chain, the editor-in-chief for The Atlantic, who wrote an article saying 2 hours after the text, the U.S. began launching airstrikes.
What were they talking about? With the Houthis. The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it.
Government officials have used the text app Signal for organizational correspondence, but it is not classified and can be hacked.
The incident comes as the Trump administration continues its crackdown on leakers, threatening polygraph tests, including at the Pentagon. CBS's Charlie Daggett.
The Department of Homeland Security has launched one. They say they're going to use polygraphs or lie detector tests, as well as about the same time, the Department of Justice going to launch their own investigation. So lots of investigations going on.
Jake Rosen was covering today's appeals court hearing on Trump's deportations and the use of the Aliens Enemies Act.
One judge was very skeptical of the Department of Justice's argument that basically the President Trump has sweeping power in this case, basically saying that you cannot assume that we will not ask questions about it, and we need to make sure as a court that everyone who is actually being deported to countries like El Salvador are actually gang members.
And there are indications the president's tariffs plan may be changing again. Ed O'Keefe has that.
With the word that these tariffs may become a little more industry specific, and perhaps you're going to see some changes in exactly what gets slapped with a bit of a levy and what doesn't. Of course, all that comes amid the concerns and the polling that shows Americans still concerned about inflation, still concerned about the economy, and believing that the president could be doing much more to fight rising prices.
After a sudden change of heart about the last nominee, there's a new choice to lead the CDC, as Alexander Tin reports.
The White House has picked Dr. Susan Minares to be its new nominee to head the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, seeking to make permanent an acting role that she has been serving since the new administration took over. Minares replaces former Florida Congressman Dr. David Weldon, whose nomination had been abruptly pulled by the White House over fears that he did not have the votes to be confirmed in the Republican-led Senate.
Firefighters in North and South Carolina are battling multiple wildfires, some fueled by debris left from Hurricane Helene, along with high winds and dry conditions. On Wall Street, the Dow is up nearly 600 points. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-230-2777. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-230-2777. That's 800-230-2777. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. 800-230-2777.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Residents of Fairfield County have power back after sweeping outages over the weekend. Severe weather, including strong winds, took out thousands of customers Friday into Saturday. Wind gusts were reported as high as 50 miles per hour. Eversource crews were working well into yesterday afternoon to restore the few that remained in the dark. The woman accused of holding her stepson captive for decades at her Waterbury home is now being tied to a 1986 murder. Kimberly Sullivan is charged with kidnapping, cruelty to persons, and other crimes related to the torture of her 32-year-old stepson. Connecticut investigators say Sullivan was among the last people to see Laura Melio alive on July 16, 1986. Robert Burke was eventually arrested and pleaded guilty to the murder of Melio, whom her family says was left alone by Sullivan the night she was killed. The mayor of Shelton is eyeing education as he looks to try and offer a balanced budget proposal. Mayor Mark Loretti's proposed budget for the coming fiscal year slashes $3 million from the local school board's funding request. Loretti believes the city has several $1 million in reserves that will help with education funding. The budget has to be approved by the end of May. And it will not be a three-peat for the Yukon Husky men. Yukon and Florida were tied at the half, and the Huskies led for much of the second half. In the end, Yukon lost to the number 1 seed Gators 77-75 in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The Huskies finished their season 24-11. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
95 northbound over an hour, Greenwich to Bridgeport. The lower Merritt might save you a few minutes, but it's not great. We have rain delays all over the place, and you're working on a wet track at least, so do watch your speeds, especially on the secondary roads. New Haven, 95, busy but moving through Long Wharf and West Haven, and 84, eastbound, plenty of company through Danbury and Newtown. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Any showers end this evening, clearing after midnight, below in the mid-30s. Tomorrow is sunny with a high near 50. On Wednesday, a mixture of rain and wet snow early over to showers in the afternoon. Partly sunny by late in the day with a high in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Yep, and with more EVs being driven all around Connecticut, you see them everywhere. And yeah, now you're noticing all those Teslas out there, yeah? With more EVs being driven in the state, should Connecticut go to a per-mile road use tax instead of a gasoline tax? We started the show off with that today. Still taking calls and or texts on that at 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Don't scream at me. Don't yell at me. I didn't say I want this and the gasoline tax. Not saying that. Gas tax revenues are starting to fall, not just here in Connecticut, but in a lot of other places around the country. And let's face it, if you drive an EV, first of all, God bless you. I love the technology. I'm a techie guy. You know that. I'm so much of a nerd. I still listen to the radio transmissions from Gemini and Apollo missions. So I love high tech. But let's face it, if you're driving an EV, you're getting a pretty good deal. Number one, the power companies, whether it's UI basically or Eversource, you get a rebate for putting in one of those chargers from what I read at home, and then you don't pay any gas tax. Must be nice. But listen, you're taking advantage of, and there's a tax rebate on it too. Where's my rebate for my 2019 Hyundai, which has a blown out right headlight? Yes, I'm fixing it later in the week. Thank you. So I posted that question here. With more EVs being driven in the state, should Connecticut go to a per-mile road use tax instead of a gasoline tax? Some people would pay less. Some people would pay more. I told you about two and a half years ago, I did take part in a pilot test for the state. I plugged a little thing, a transmitter, into my car's OBD port. And for 4 months, on the last day of each month for 4 months, I got a summary of not where I went. Don't worry. Big Brother wasn't watching me pick up my chicken and broccoli down the street from my condo, but it gave me the amount of miles I drove and said, hey, if we were to go to a mileage tax, here's how much you would pay. For me, just for me, it ended up being about $5 a month more than I was already paying in gasoline taxes. So a lot of people here, a lot of interesting comments on our Facebook account here, facebook.com/voice of CT. Would you want to eliminate the gasoline tax for a road use tax? And the states that are doing this are looking at it like a penny a mile, 1.5 cents a mile. Jack says only if you eliminate the gasoline tax. Dan says no way. Chuck says not just no, but in caps, hell no. Christopher says, I'm sure the state will find a way to add extra charges on EV owners' electric bills. Well, that might be, hey, Chris, that might be one thing to do here. Anthony says, unless Ned is smoking some weed again. How do you know he smokes? Just because he wears those tie-dye T-shirts? I'd say, what the hell is he thinking? Dino says, how about eliminating the gas tax and no per-mile tax? Well, Dino, that's nice. Where do you get the money for bridge repairs? Just saying. Our buddy, our pal, Terry Cowgill is standing by. Let's talk to Anne-Marie in West Haven first. Anne-Marie, hi. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. What's up?
Good. If they do the per mileage tax, then the IRS needs to increase the amount that people use when they get deducted from. You know, it's like where I work, I get charged. They pay me per mile. So if I'm going to be charged per mile for driving, then the IRS needs to make an amendment on that, or the state needs to make an amendment on that.
Yeah, and Anna Marie, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, this would not be easy, but I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Every EV, even a hybrid, you're probably using a quarter to a half the gas you're using. Eventually, there'll be nothing from gasoline sales. And okay, yeah, but you know the majority in Hartford's going to go, hey, got to fill the coffers here. Before the break, John in Stratford. John, how are you, sir? What's going on?
Yeah, Paul, quickly, good comments on EV, but I just want to talk about, I don't know if you heard about Chuck Schumer's comments last week on The View.
What he said?
Where he is so out of touch that he's ranting against hardworking Americans who want to keep more of their money and don't want to give it to the government. Gee, how un-American that I work overtime, I'm in a union, I'm in a teacher, or I'm just a hardworking person, and I want to keep more of my money. And he's making fun of us all over The View. Even Whoopi Goldberg said, are you sure about that?
Wow. Wait a minute. Even Whoopi was going, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, Chuck is so out of touch. I mean, what is this? What are they going after now?
And thank you, John. I feel bad for Schumer because he, it's funny. And we had Jim Himes audio from earlier in the day, right? Well, Congressman Himes, what do you think? Well, so how do you praise, think about this, how do you praise your leader in the Senate while at the same time kind of, I don't know, you praise him, but you're trying to gently say, hey, Chuck, you'd have more time for golf if you just kind of stepped aside.
Did you run out of the house and miss breakfast? And now there's nothing in the office kitchen? Then you need the WICC City Line Florist Breakfast Brigade. We'll bring delicious treats from Cakes by Sonia and make our way around southern Connecticut until we reach your office. Sign up at voiceofct.com and the WICC City Line Florist Breakfast Brigade will be on the way.
Selling your home is a numbers game. The more potential buyers who see it, the greater the opportunity to sell. And when your home is listed on Smart MLS, more than 21,000 realtors see it, and so do all their buyers. Suddenly, the number of people looking at your home starts to grow by a lot. More realtors sharing your listing, more people seeing your home, more offers coming in, and maybe even more cash in your pocket. Smart move, right? Ask your realtor. Is my house on Smart MLS? Smart MLS, the smart way to sell your home.
Need the perfect flowers for any occasion? Trust City Line Florist, Trumbull's local florist for 108 years and 4 generations. From birthdays to anniversaries, celebrations to just because, City Line Florist delivers stunning, high-quality flowers, same day, anywhere in the country. Stop by their beautiful gift shop and greenhouse at 2978 Nichols Avenue in Trumbull, or order online at citylineflorist.com. City Line Florist, making life's moments bloom since 1917.
You're listening to WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut, broadcasting from Cadillac of Greenwich Studios, CadillacofGreenwich.com.
Hey, it's Melissa Sheketoff. If you need anything related to the trees on your property, K&J Tree Service should be your first call. They're my go-to for all of my tree issues. Did you know K&J has 0% financing available right now? You can apply from your phone. There's no credit impact. There are loan options within seconds, and they're also offering special discounts like $250 off of $2,500 jobs or more than $500 off a $5,000 job. Are your trees in distress? Is your yard losing its charm? Well, then let K&J Tree Service bring your landscape back to life with their expert tree care solutions. At K&J Tree Service, they understand the importance of maintaining the beauty and safety of your outdoor space, and their team of certified arborists offer top-notch services, including tree trimming, tree removal, stump grinding, and so much more. Go to kjtreeservice.com for your free assessment today. That's kjtreeservice.com, and you can also text them for a free assessment. 203-248-TREE.
If your credit card bills have gotten out of hand, call Consolidated Credit now. If the interest rates on your credit cards are so high, it'll take years to get out of debt. Call Consolidated Credit now. They've helped over 10 million people without destroying your credit. They can reduce your interest rates, lower your total payments up to 50% to get you out of debt fast. For a free consultation, call Consolidated Credit now. The program works.
Call 800-210-4298. 800-210-4298. 800-210-4298.
Consolidated Credit Solutions Incorporated, 5701 West Sunrise Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida 33313. Licensed by the New York Department of Financial Services and by the Vermont Department of Financial Regulation. Kansas CSO 0019051. Maryland DM 1492. Oregon DM 892. Licensed by the Virginia State Corporation Commission, license number DC83. Service may adversely affect the individual's credit. Non-payment of debt may lead to additional finance charges or collections activity, including legal action. Actual interest rates, length of program, and monthly payment reductions will vary by consumer and creditor. Yours could be higher or lower. Not a loan company. We do not lend money.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 or the Parkway northbound, plan on an hour from Greenwich to Bridgeport right now. A few breaks along the way through, and you're working with a wet track out there, so watch your speeds, please. 95 south through New Haven, jamming now through Long Wharf into West Haven. Route 8 bunched up as well, going through Shelton to the bridge. Traffic report powered by the Fairfield Law Office of Elierson and Tenor. Give your family and yourself the most important gift you can give, peace of mind. Visit ConnecticutElderLaw.com. And that's Krause with WICC traffic.
For this evening and overnight, any showers end early, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Sunny tomorrow with a high near 50. Rain and wet snow early Wednesday over to showers before ending, clearing in the afternoon with a high near 43. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
Listen while you're at work at voiceofct.com. Now back to Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli on WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. You can text me on that, too, and I do keep this open at home, too, because I have no life. So in the middle of the night, if you have a notion to text me something, and you really want to take me to task or tell me how much you like me, you can text anytime at 333-9422. Oh, it's about that time on a Monday. All his thoughts of things national, locally here in Connecticut and worldly. Terry Cowgill, you read him at the Connecticut News Junkie, ctnewsjunkie.com, and or on Substack, his blog, Red Meat for Mushy Moderates. Terry, how are you, sir? How you feeling?
I am feeling better.
Nice.
But you know what? While some of your listeners are trying to answer the burning question of whether Governor Lamont, with his Grateful Dead T-shirt, smokes weed,
yes,
I am asking the crucial question of whether Pete Hegseth actually did stop drinking. And I think there is good reason to believe that he's off the wagon.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Yeah, well, if you're the Secretary of Defense and you share war plans,
I know.
In a group text with a journalist, maybe that's not a great idea. I mean, I love openness and access for journalists, but that's ridiculous.
Did you? And I guess this was toward the Houthis. Did you hear Mr. Trump's response to that? Did you hear his response?
Yeah, he said something to the effect, "Oh, I don't care much for the Atlantic anyway. As if that matters."
Oh, Terry, and yet, and as I was discussing, and I know you wanted to bring this up before your Substack piece, Terry, I gotta feel sorry for Chuck Schumer. No, I really do. And you have Jim Himes getting asked about it. I had that audio earlier yesterday from the weekend shows. Chris Murphy gets asked about this all the time. Rosa DeLauro is asked about this all the time. I mean, the poor guy just, I wouldn't be surprised, Terry, if he wants to take those glasses off his nose and just fling them at somebody and say, that's it, I'm out, I'm done.
Yeah. Well, it's too good a job, I mean, if he really saw the handwriting on the wall, he might resign at some point. Did you see the interview that Bernie Sanders did with Jonathan Karl on This Week on ABC?
Yes.
Bernie was asked about it, and he got up and tried to walk out of the room.
Did he really?
Yeah, he got. I'd never seen him do that before. He said, "Well, if you want to talk inside baseball, I don't have time. I'm going, blah blah blah." And then Jonathan asked, "Oh no, I wanted to ask a different question then." And so he came back. He clearly just didn't want to answer the question. So it is pretty amazing how this goes. I'll tell you though, with Schumer, I think that he was right to do what he did.
Yeah. And
I say that reluctantly because I don't think he's a leader for the times. This is not his moment.
Mm-hmm.
You saw that clip with him and I can't remember. I think it was Maxine Waters.
Yeah.
And they were going, "We will win," and I just thought that is a plaintive cry for new leadership. It was crazy.
A plaintive cry. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think he did the right thing because I do agree with him that if they had shut down the government, then the whole federal workforce would have been even more vulnerable to mass firings. And so I think he did what he had to do, but I still think it's probably time for him to go.
Yeah. And by the way, Terry, your piece here in Substack. Now, people in my neck, and I'm not that far right, but there are people in my neck of the general political woods love to use a phrase TDS, or what some of my listeners and blogger friends refer to as Trump derangement syndrome. And I'm like, whatever. But you have written a rather interesting piece titled TDS, Not Such a Crazy Affliction After All. What do we have here, Terry?
Well, I don't know if you remember where the term Trump derangement syndrome came from. Well, first of all, it's a clever turnabout, right?
Yeah.
So essentially what the Trump supporters are saying is that if you don't like Trump, there's nothing wrong with him. There's something wrong with you. And so it throws the responsibility for the whole thing back on the person who doesn't like Donald Trump rather than on his actions.
Yeah.
But you probably do remember where Trump derangement syndrome came from, because
refresh me. I probably do.
Yeah. In 2003, Charles Krauthammer, the late conservative columnist, and also a psychiatrist, a gifted guy, won a Pulitzer Prize. He came up with Bush derangement syndrome for people on the left who irrationally exploded every time Bush opened his mouth.
Yeah.
And so they took this and did it. But essentially, I go through a whole list of things that Trump has done in his second term, which is far more extreme than his first term, and say to myself, if you look at this list, Trump derangement syndrome isn't derangement; it's justified. And so now, if somebody accuses me of having TDS, I'm like, yeah, you bet, baby, I have it. Maybe you should have it.
What kind of, and you've been blogging on Substack for a while now, and I've been thinking of just doing one just to vent even more than I can here. You must get, Terry, I would think, maybe it's not shown in the comments, do you get a lot of people who you read stuff from the stuff you write, which sometimes I agree with, sometimes I don't, but you're a fabulous writer. Do you get comments and just go, oof, wow?
Well, sometimes, yes. Not that often. Occasionally I get somebody who is extremely combative and who just hurls invective at me and at some of the other people. And I just kick them out of the sandbox. No, I just don't want to deal with them. I like a spirited debate, I think, and I know you do too, because you have a lot of it on your on your show. But I don't. I won't tolerate people who get way out of line and just when they make it personal. I like to stick to the issues if I can.
Hey, finally, I know you spend most of your time in Texas right now, still with Connecticut roots. What is the deal there? Are there any insurgents, anti-Elon Musk types in your neck of the woods down there, or are they all worried that a lot of people have guns there and tend to carry them sometimes? Has there been any widespread sort of Tesla vandalism going on there, or what?
I have not seen any in the San Antonio area.
Yeah.
Because, Musk is he's actually quite popular in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Because not just because Texas leans conservative, but he has that SpaceX facility down in Boca Chica, which is near Brownsville. It's in the southern tip of Texas on the beach.
Yeah,
and he employs thousands of people there, pays a ton of taxes. He's actually pretty popular here, so I have not heard of any vandalism. I've certainly seen the footage of it, and it's pretty frightening to me. I don't think that destruction of private property or public property is a suitable reaction to anything like that. I condemn it.
Yeah, I mean, power of the purse, fine. I mean, listen, the Republicans did it with Bud Light and that whole marketing campaign. And I have said, Terry, if the left wants to hurl invectives at Elon Musk and protest at their dealer, that's fine. But setting Molotov cocktails. I mean, really, nobody hears your message when you do that. Nobody hears it.
No, because it's just the story becomes the violence and the destruction. Yep. And you're right. The message it detracts from the message.
Absolutely.
Did we have just a minute to?
Yeah,
talk
sure.
About
you got about 30 seconds. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Mark Carney, who is the new Prime Minister of Canada, just did a little segment. I think it's a commercial actually for the Liberal Party with Mike Myers, who is a comedian and actor on Saturday Night Live. He was on that for a while, and it's just brilliant because Myers lives in the U.S. Carney says, "Oh, but you live in the U.S. You're not a real Canadian anymore." And then Carney proceeds to quiz him on a series of Canadian pop culture questions, and it goes on and on. Who was the host of this children's? And at the end, they say elbows up. And you're a sports guy. That's Gordie Howe, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And Terry, I got to tell you, you have Canadian roots. I've covered hockey professionally for 10, 15 years. Remember, if I'm correct, Mark Carney was a goaltender at Harvard, right? You know what they say about goalies. They're a little,
you've got to be, and especially back in the days of Jacques Plante when they didn't even wear masks. They were completely nuts at those times. But Donald Trump has done more to increase the Liberal Party's chances in Canada of winning than anybody could, because Pierre Trudeau, it was so bad that he resigned. Carney comes in, Trump starts this trade war. Start talking about taking over Canada by force if necessary, and Canadians are united to support the current government.
I know.
Yeah, you couldn't have invented a weirder scenario.
Yes, weird. Hey, Terry, thanks. Terry Cowgill, as always. Read him at Substack.com and at the Connecticut News Junkie. Terry, be good. Continue the rehab, and we'll talk next week. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Paul.
All right. Thanks. Traffic and weather together, news, all that and more. Open phones the rest of the way. WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 or the Parkway northbound, plan on an hour from Greenwich to Bridgeport right now. A few breaks along the way through, and you're working with a wet track out there, so watch your speeds, please. 95 south through New Haven, jamming now through Long Wharf into West Haven. Route 8 bunched up as well, going through Shelton to the bridge. Traffic report powered by the Fairfield Law Office of Eliasson and Tenor. Give your family and yourself the most important gift you can give, peace of mind. Visit ConnecticutElderLaw.com. And that's Krause with WICC Traffic.
Any showers end this evening, clearing after midnight with a low in the mid-30s. Tomorrow is sunny with a high near 50. On Wednesday, a mixture of rain and wet snow early over to showers in the afternoon. Partly sunny by late in the day with a high in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiore.